Well, it's 6 a.m. and it's time for the morning news on 3FM 92.7. We always come to you from our studios here at Adesawe Kanda. My name is Christabel Success Trevor. We are streaming on all our social media platforms at 3FM 92.7. Coming up this morning, minority insists on accountability over the reported 22 billion cedi loss over the domestic gold purchase program. Also in the bulletin, Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry defense contractor saying delays on the Accra-Aplau road cannot be blamed solely on the construction firm.
It can be a natural phenomenon that possibly may be beyond the control of you, the contractor. It may be other accidental.
And also in the bulletin, Accra Circuit Court remands 49-year-old Nigerian Augustine Okechukwu Mazi into police custody for 2 weeks following a failed robbery operation at Laboni that left 2 suspected robbers dead. We've got details for you very shortly. Don't go away. Let's begin the bulletin now because a constitutionally reserved seat on Ghana's Council of State remains empty at a time the country is preparing to amend the constitution. More than 2 months after government promised a replacement for former Chief Justice Appiah, President Mahama is yet to name one. Questions are emerging over whether the delay is merely a procedural practice. There's more in this report by Noble Crosby Annan.
Justice Appiah submitted a resignation from the Council of State in September 2025, although the presidency only publicly confirmed its acceptance in June this year. Government said at the time that processes were underway to replace her, but more than 2 months later, no replacement has been announced. Under Article 89 of the Constitution, the Council of State must include a person who has previously served as Chief Justice, appointed by the President in consultation with Parliament. The Council of State Act 2020 Act 1037 also provides that where a vacancy occurs, that vacancy shall be filled. The law, however, sets no specific deadline for the President to make that appointment. And Article 92 makes clear that the work of the Council is not invalid simply because there is a vacancy. So, the Council can legally continue operating. The question is, how long can this constitutionally designated seat remain vacant? At least 3 former Chief Justices currently fit the constitutional description: Georgina Theodora Wood, Kwesi Eniniabwa, and Gertrude Tokonu. Justice Tokonu may, however, be considered politically unlikely following her removal as Chief Justice under the Mahama administration. Legally, though, Article 89 does not distinguish between a former Chief Justice who retired from office and one who left under other circumstances. It simply requires someone who has previously held the office. But here is another possibility. The current Chief Justice, Paul Bafoboni, turned 70 in December, the mandatory retirement age for a Supreme Court Justice. Once he retires, he too would immediately satisfy the constitutional requirement of having previously served as Chief Justice. Is the President waiting for the current Chief Justice to retire before filling the vacancy?
Well, that's a question we continue to ask. We continue the bulletin now because Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board has challenged Minority Leader Alexander Penyumarking to invite him to Parliament to answer questions over claims that the institution incurred losses from its gold trading operations. Sami Jemfi, during the Government Accountability Series, mounted a spirited defense of his stewardship, saying he is ready to appear before Parliament to prove that claims linking Gold Board to losses under the Bank of Ghana's domestic gold purchase program are unfounded. Take a listen to him.
There have been calls for an inquiry into the circumstances leading to the loss of some $1.7 billion under the domestic gold purchase program DDEP. Claims, counter-accusations, and several interpretations have emerged from a report authored by the IMF on the economic financing of the country. The minority says it will not relent in its call for accountability. In a fierce rebuttal, Chief Executive Officer of the Gold Board, Sami Jemfi, says the IMF's report clearly identified the domestic gold purchase program as the source of the losses rather than the Gold Board.
You don't look at that and say, oh, that means Gold Board was doing something wrong. I can tell you that as we speak, the IMF and the Bank of Ghana are all engaging Gold Board that they still want to be our fiscal agents under the Gold Board model, where they will be raising money for us as an intermediary. It is the Gold Board that is rather saying, no, we will do it ourselves. So that claim is not.
The minority in its address hinted at a possible criminal inquiry into the activities of Gold Board. The CEO has called their bluff.
Afenyomakin's continuing antics must therefore be seen for what they are: a desperate smear campaign by persons who have specialized in sophistry and political blackmail in pursuit of selfish ends. These are devious extortionists who will come at you with lies to tarnish your reputation.
But in a sharp rebuttal, the minority in parliament has maintained its demand for accountability over the reported 22 billion Ghana cedis loss under the Domestic Gold Purchase Program, DGPP. The minority says the Gold Board CEO's response confirms rather than refutes the reported $1.7 billion loss identified by the IMF under the program in 2025. It is therefore demanding further clarification from Gold Board on the financial performance of the program. The Roads and Highways Minister, Kwame Abuja, has expressed anger over the slow pace of work on sections of the Temaplau Road, criticizing contractor First Sky Construction for what he described as little progress over the past 4 months. He made the remarks as he began a nationwide road inspection tour in the Greater Accra region aimed at assessing the progress of major road projects and identifying challenges affecting the completion.
This road is just about 17 kilometers. What we've been complaining about is that right from the beginning, I get the impression the contractors do not intend to do the work because I don't see any activity. It's 17 kilometers.
That's the Minister for Road. Meanwhile, Emmanuel Cherry, the CEO for the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry, says a contractor cannot be blamed.
It can be a natural phenomenon that possibly may be beyond the control of you, the contractor. It may be either accidental or any other means. It can be financial challenges. It can be engineering challenges and what have you. But in this particular quest, you realize that from April, May, June, July, we normally hit our major rainy seasons and what have you. And then if that happens, he may start work by end up coming back to do remedial works, which is going to cost him.
Emmanuel Cherry speaking there. He's a CEO for the Ghana Chamber of Construction Industry. Now, the Accra Circuit Court has remanded 49-year-old Nigerian Augustine Okechukwu Mazi into police custody for 2 weeks. The Nigerian suspect was arraigned before the court following a failed robbery operation at Laboni, which led to the killing of 2 other suspects. Lord Eduasari brings us this report. We'll bring you that in our subsequent bulletins. Just before we go, just weeks after some operators at Laboma Beach were giving a 21-day ultimatum to address structures within the Pishi Lagoon enclave, they are now engaging government in a collaborative effort to restore the waterway. The intervention forms part of broader efforts to improve drainage and reduce the risk of flooding in the area.
When torrential rains battered part of Greater Accra in June, several communities were left submerged. The flooding renewed concerns about poor drainage, choked waterways, and development believed to be obstructing the natural flow of water. Attention later turned to the Pishi Lagoon at Laboma Beach, where authorities raised concerns about encroachment within the lagoon's buffer zone. On August 7, the Greater Accra Regional Security Council visited the area, marking some structures and issuing a 21-day ultimatum for the necessary action to be taken. Operators say they are working with government and other stakeholders to dredge sections of the Pishi Lagoon and improve the flow of water.
I'm in the process of collaborating with the Assembly where we would have water flowing from beyond, and I keep saying from beyond the bridge, because You just pan your camera, you realize that the water is stagnant beyond the bridge. So if it's beyond, if the stagnation is beyond the bridge, it means the impediment is beyond. After all, there's never been a situation where the street over there or that bridge has experienced flooding.
The dredging is expected to help clear accumulated silt and other materials that may be affecting the free flow of water.
That's how we wrap up this morning news on 3FM 92.7. Please log on to our website, 3news.com. My name is Christabel Success Trevor. Thanks for listening. Business is up next. Hello, good morning and welcome to the business news on Sunrise. Coming up this morning, Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman calls for modern, transparent tax system to boost revenue.
People are more willing to comply when they believe that the system is fair, when the rules are clear and consistently applied.
Meanwhile, Ghana Revenue Authority targets 310 billion cedis in annual domestic tax revenue by 2028.
Starting from April this year, the customs monthly revenue moved to 5.3 billion, and in the month of June, it moved to 5.5 billion, and in the month of July, we moved to 6.1 billion.
Plus, Chair of Parliament Select Committee on Finance calls for legal protection of public interest and accountability committee funding.
The finance minister can change anytime. So we need to have a mechanism that puts it in law, the funding arrangement for PIAC, and not dependent on a good minister who is willing to support PIAC.
I am Christabel Success Trevor. Bring you details of our headlines and other stories shortly. Don't go away. Let's settle for the details. Vice President Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is calling for a more modern, transparent and trusted tax system to improve revenue mobilization and expand the tax base. Speaking at the 14th Annual International Tax Conference in Accra, she highlighted ongoing VAT reforms, the digitization of tax administration, and the need to bring more businesses in the informal economy into the tax net.
Expanding the tax base requires creating practical ways for more individuals and businesses to participate in the tax system, particularly within the informal economy. People are more willing to comply when they believe that the system is fair, when the rules are clear and consistently applied, when they can deal with the tax authorities without unnecessary difficulty, and when public resources are managed responsibly. The GRA must therefore continue improving taxpayer education, consultation, and service delivery. Tax professionals must help their clients understand and meet legitimate obligations.
You have the Vice President, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman. She's calling for a more modern, transparent tax system to boost the revenue. Now, the Ghana Revenue Authority is targeting a doubling of annual domestic tax revenue from about 155 billion Ghana cedis in 2024 to 310 billion cedis by 2028. Commissioner General of the GRA, Anthony Kwesi Sapon, says achieving the target will require sustained annual revenue growth of at least 20%. The ambitious target forms part of efforts to strengthen domestic revenue mobilization and expand the country's tax base.
In 2027, we'll be looking at the revisions to our international treaties, so that over a 3-year period, you will see a reform of the legal taxes or the acts that really guides our taxation. And in all of this, Your Excellency, we are proud to know that we are not focusing on increasing the rate. We are looking at how to simplify the taxes and broaden the net so that Ghanaians can pay their taxes and will build the nation together. The second area of major reform is using technology as enabler. And the first one, which is giving us a fantastic and awesome result, is our introduction of AI at our customs modernization for valuation and classification. In 2025, we were collecting an average of 4 billion every month for our customs revenue. We are happy to know that with the implementation of the AI starting from April this year, the customs monthly revenue moved to 5.3 billion a month. And in the month of June, it moved to 5.5 billion. And in the month of July, Your Excellency, we moved to 6.1 billion.
You have the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority, Anthony Sapon, speaking there. Now, the chair of Parliament's Select Committee on Finance, Isaac Adongo, is calling for legal reforms to guarantee sustainable funding for the Public Interest and Accountability Committee. Adongo says placing PIAC's funding arrangements on a clear legal footing will protect the institution from being financially constrained and ensure it can continue to perform its mandated oversight functions.
PIAC was established in September 2011 under Section 51 of the Petroleum Revenue Management Act 2011, Act 815. PIAC was funded through the Annual Budget Funding Amount, ABFA. However, following the amendment of the law, which scrapped the ABFA and redirected the funds into a special account to finance government's Big Push program, PIAC lost its legally backed source of funding.
Even though the finance minister has shown a lot of commitment to PIAC, because he himself was on this committee for so many years, he has that empathy towards PIAC. But the finance minister can change anytime. So we need to have a mechanism that puts it in law, the funding arrangement for PIAC, and not dependent on a good minister who is willing to support PIAC. So that is the next stage of the conversation, to be able to ensure the sustainability of this arrangement.
Chairman of PIAC is Richard Elima.
The committee has produced and published its statutory reports, undertaken project inspections, engaged citizens and communities across the country, organized public fora, participated in public policy discussions, and consistently brought issues surrounding petroleum revenue management into the public space. These interventions have contributed to strengthening transparency and accountability in the management of Ghana's petroleum revenues. Our journey, however, has not been without challenges. The committee has had to adapt to these changing circumstances while remaining faithful to its statutory mandate.
Also speaking at the launch of PIAC at 15, economist at the University of Ghana, Professor Peter Korte, called for PIAC's oversight of oil revenues to be replicated in the management of other mineral resources to strengthen transparency and accountability.
For the past 15 years, we have highlighted where there are problems. There have been instances where oil money has been used judiciously. There have been instances where they say there is a project here, you go and the project is not there. We have highlighted all of that. I mean, as we saw, after this launch, we are going to have a comprehensive report on abandoned projects, on oil projects. We're going to track all of them over time. I think PIAC is doing very well.
The equities market of the Ghana Stock Exchange has recorded a 73% year-to-date gain. This places it among the strongest performing equity markets globally, while trading activity has also doubled compared with the same period last year.
Managing Director of the Ghana Stock Exchange, Abinamwa, says the strong performance of the equities market reflects growing investor participation and renewed activity on Ghana's capital market. Speaking at the launch of the updated GSE Environmental, Social and Governance Manual, she said the equities index had closed 73% higher as of August 18, 2026, signaling increased investor confidence in the local market.
There's activity even on our primary issuance. We are attracting new companies onto the market. But it's not just that. We are also seeing that we are attracting new investors onto the market. As at yesterday, the GSE Equities Index closed up 73% year to date.
The updated GSE ESG Manual, also known as Sustainability Disclosure Manual, seeks to guide companies listed on the Ghana Stock Exchange to consistently disclose their environmental, social and governance practices, risks and performance, promoting greater transparency, accountability and informed investment decisions. Director of the Securities and Exchange Commission SEC, Dr. James Klucha-Veji, urged all listed companies to be transparent in their reporting.
I want to congratulate Ghana Stock Exchange for coming out with this manual to help all listed companies as they prepare to meet the compulsory disclosure requirement issued by the Institute of Chartered Accountants, Ghana. Let us commit today to reporting with integrity, clarity, and courage.
Yes.
Let's take a look at what's happening on the forex and commodities markets.
On the interbank foreign exchange market, where banks trade amongst themselves, the dollar is selling at 11 cedis 8 pesos. It gained 3 pesos. The British pound is selling at 15 cedis 7 pesos. It gained 9 pesos. The euro is selling at 12 cedis 92 pesos. It also lost 13 pesos. However, be guided that these figures will be higher at a forex bureau near you. On the global commodities market, Brent crude is trading at $91.19 per barrel. Gold is trading at $4,511.25 per ounce, up by $176.75. Cocoa is trading at $6,031 per ton, up by $112.
That was an update from the forex and commodities market, ending the business news on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please check out our website, 3news.com. I am Christabel Success Trevor. The rest of the Sunrise team are on standby. Don't go away.
3FM Sunrise.
3FM Sunrise. 3FM Morning Show. 3FM 92.7. 3FM, your urban lifestyle radio. 3FM Sunrise. 3FM Morning Show. 3FM 92.7.
A wonderful morning to you. Thank you very much for staying with us here on 3FM 92.7. As always, it's a wonderful Thursday morning, one that we're grateful to the good Lord for. And like the good book says, this is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. It's exactly 6:27 here on the 3FM Sunrise. A big thank you to Cristobal Success Treve for helping us with the 6 a.m. news as well as the business news. Now is our turn to take you on this wonderful journey from now till 10 a.m. where we start off with a quick message of motivation. We'll get into the weather, and like yesterday, there are slight drizzles in some parts of the capital already this morning. We'll let you in on what is expected for the rest of the day, not just in the capital, but across the length and breadth of the country, because we're live, not just here on 3FM 92.7, but we're also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM in Tamale and W93.1 in Wa. And so across the length and breadth of this country, we are live. You can follow us as well on Facebook with the handles 3FM927. That is where we're streaming at, as well as on YouTube. Same handles, 3FM927. As always, you are an important part of the show. You can send us a message, 053 220 0927. 053 220 0927 is our WhatsApp number by which you can share your messages with us. And please do not call, just send a message and we'll do the reading for you here on the show. Let me get into the message this morning, and it's titled "The Need to Always Have," or the last word, right? Now, some arguments are not really about the truth. They're about the last sentence. You can almost see the moment when it happens. A conversation is winding down and both of you have made your respective points. There is nothing new to add. Then someone says one more thing. The other responds, another reply follows, and before long, the argument is alive again. Not because there is anything important left to say, but because neither of you wants to leave the room feeling as though the other person has won. It is a curious human instinct, and it exists nonetheless. We've been taught to admire people who always have an answer, a comeback, or a response. And more often than not, particularly in the Gen Z language, you call it a clapback of some sort, right? Somebody needs to clap back on what one person may have said or the other. But silence can make some people deeply uncomfortable, particularly when the silence might be interpreted as defeat. But not every conversation needs to be won, and not every criticism needs a defense. Not every misunderstanding requires a final explanation, while not every opinion deserves a counter-opinion. Sometimes, the strongest thing in a conversation is recognizing that nothing useful will be added by continuing it. That is different from being unable to respond. It is choosing not to, and there's a very big difference in that. One comes from powerlessness. The other comes from self-possession, and control. The book of Proverbs offers a fascinating warning in this regard. It says that, do not answer a fool according to his folly, or you yourself will be just like him. Not because foolishness should always go unchallenged, but that there are moments when truth must be spoken clearly. But wisdom understands also something that is important, that engaging with everything eventually allows everything to control you. Imagine spending an entire day answering every insult, correcting every misunderstanding, and responding to every provocation. By sunset, other people would have written the schedule and not you. And that certainly will not be an exhibition of strength. Strength includes the ability to decide what deserves access to time, attention, and peace. There is no prize for attending to every argument, and no medal for the quickest of clapbacks. There is absolutely no honor in turning every disagreement into a contest of ideas that must be won. Some people are still carrying conversations that should have ended years ago, simply because they could not bear to live or leave without the final word. But closure does not always come from saying one more thing. Sometimes it comes from deciding that enough has already been said. And that confidence is not always having something to say. Sometimes it is knowing that silence will not make you smaller. Let's get you into the weather. Kind courtesy the Ghana Meteorological Agency this morning, who amongst many things say that mist or fog patches are expected over part of the forest, mountainous and coastal areas, leading to reduced visibility early this morning. Mostly cloudy conditions will prevail across all sectors, with a few places likely to experience rain. Now, later in the day, clouds will give way to intervals of sunshine over most areas. However, rain and thunderstorms may form in some areas in the transition and northern sectors later in the afternoon and evening hours. And it will be relatively cool at night and very early in the morning as well. The state of the sea is expected to be rough. With that out of the way, I want to welcome you once again to the 3FM Sunrise. Myself, the rest of my colleagues, Patrice, Amegashie, Codjoe, Helen, Appiah, Ampofo, Fred Okunzo Tiani on production, Lord Amwabe on the socials, and DJ Phil on the ones and twos. Let's get into some great music right now, after which we return with the newspapers for you.
the time reads in the studio. And certainly where there's a will, there is a way. And where there's a Patrice, there's a Codjoe. And where there is a Codjoe, there is a DJ Phil. And where you would have gotten that intel.
Yeah, I already done everything, sorted everything out. So I'm home. I'm home clean, and I would like to invite everybody to my house this weekend.
Hey,
because
what's happening at your house this weekend?
I'm planting a new tree, and I would want everybody to participate.
Are you looking for an MC for this sword cutting ceremony?
That would be fantastic.
Count me in.
Yeah, so you're in. So that's fine. So you're in now.
Okay.
Yes. You appreciate and believe in nature, right?
Of course.
So that's it. So Kay has also accepted to be present.
No,
Yeah.
you didn't ask me if I was going to be present.
Oh, but with your smile.
Next week,
Look,
when?
your eyes are glowing.
No, this weekend. It's happening this weekend.
This weekend.
The tree cutting or tree planting
This weekend.
event.
Tree planting.
I'm planting a new tree, yeah.
In your house?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Save the earth.
Yeah, more like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
All right.
So that's it. Yeah.
Formalities out of the way. We do have our papers in front of us. Let's run through the headlines as always, and then we'll be sinking our teeth into the details. The Ghanaian Times this morning, if I can kick it off this way, says Gold Board dismisses 22 billion Ghana cedi loss claim, says it recorded some 907 million operational surplus. Yesterday, we dissected this issue in some detail. We also had conversations as part of our big topic in the morning. Of course, the Gold Board CEO, Mr. Sami Jemfi, took part of the accountability series that government has put together to explain and also seek to dispel some of the things that the minority in Parliament had to say about these Gold Board losses. Today, we keep that in focus and we'll talk some more. Dr. Binka chairs New Times Cooperation Board. Full story on page 13. Government rallies nation to fight youth drug abuse. Uncontrolled PB fuel stroke and kidney disease. This is coming from a cardiologist. We'll also talk about that. The National Enquirer this morning says intensify counseling. Julius Deborah urges churches. And GMTF challenges mining firms to invest in healthcare. Says gold cannot save you at 2 a.m. Youth Forum must produce action, not applause. That's coming from the youth minister. And CSA EY Ghana resolved some 36,000 cedi cybersecurity licensing issue. And then I've also got the Free Press newspaper this morning, refreshing Ghana cedi long overdue. That's coming from the president. Ibrahim Traore unveils his new currency. It's called Afro Money. After forcing to rule Ghana as president for 11 years, we have a new prophecy. Hot prophecy that has just dropped. After forcing will rule Ghana for 11 years. Prophet Telvin. So do we still have that? Mawuena, remind me of the ecumenical.
The Office for Ecumenical Service.
Yes.
Yes. Elvis Free Young Christ is still in that position. I think. Is it Reverend or Prophet Bidukobi? I think there's some news about him not being well.
Oh, I see.
And at the hospital, he led a government. Let me choose my words carefully, right? I'll not say a government delegation, but he led some team to go and pay a visit to him in that same position as the one for coordinating ecumenical related matters. And so, yeah, our position is still very much live and active.
All right. Well, they have a new prophecy to look into. They said that Tufosun will rule Ghana for 11 years. Prophet Telvin Sowa speaking there.
How is he even finding space on the front pages?
No, I'm sorry.
Yes, Patrice.
But did you say that Elvis Efri Ankara went to visit?
Yeah, he went to visit Midu Kobi in the hospital. I saw pictures of him.
And it was news.
I'm saying, it was on social media.
Okay. Okay, all right.
I just wanted to know if the what's it called?
Ecumenical.
Ecumenical office was around. No, because job camp, that's why.
Who's it?
No, they said there's a new prophecy. So I wanted to find out if they're still very active.
Please forget about all these things. Okay. Forget about these things. That is not how God speaks to prophets. That is not how God speaks to prophets. God does not speak to prophets this particular way. In these days. No. That is not it. The prophetic is not what we are experiencing. A lot of people are look, people can use charms. There are two ways to speak to a matter.
Okay.
So when it comes to prophecies, the demon can also give you a prophecy. Satan can give you a prophecy. And you can also get prophecy from God. The reason God said, leave everything to me. Palmists, God doesn't like it. Don't read tomorrow. Leave the decision of tomorrow to
divinity
me.
And...
Yes, necromancy. Don't do that. Don't go calling the dead to ask them questions and all those things. Don't. He says, man has the power to do those things, but I have limited you and restricted you.
Patrice.
So when somebody gives you prophecy, usually what happens is that it has to be within a certain space. Football is a game. God does not believe in that. So you can come and say Ghana is going to win the World Cup. This person is going to win. No.
In fact, that was that prophecy. Somebody said we were going to win the World Cup.
No, God does not do that.
Ecumenical body.
Yes, God speaks through a righteous person to a people. And if that activity is not righteous, why would God have a hand in it? So God will not speak to these things. As in, Atu is going to rule for 11 years. Who is going to be... It is not coming from God. All these prophets, they come and prophesy, and 2 days later, they come and then I've left my church because the prophecy went wrong. I'm going home. The prophecy went wrong. I didn't mean A, I didn't mean B. Look, the Bible says we should test the spirit of whoever is speaking. Test their spirit. You have the capacity to.
So what about the men of God or the prophets who actually prophesy and it comes to fruition?
Is
it luck? Guesswork.
It is guesswork. They guess. Okay. God does not speak to certain matters. It is no skin of his nose.
I've always wondered how God has different voices, because one says MPP will win the election, and the same God says NDC will win the election, and at the end of the day...
This next story, God will not be happy with. Indiscipline cripples CPP. Sixtus Don Ulo, good morning to you. That's his party. What happened? Electric shock. No, that was 2020.
Green Street, yeah?
Yes, that was electric shock. EELLECCTTR. Electric shock. Electric shock. That was the tagline.
They're blaming what?
Indiscipline cripples the CPP party.
Okay, right, okay.
Okay, we can talk about that also. Finally, I've got the Daybreak newspaper. Freedom and Truth is their tagline. GJA at 77, June 4 calls for stronger ethical journalism as digital media transforms industry. National Youth Forum 2026. Ghana's youth demand a greater role in shaping national development. You've got the youth minister also pictured here. Gold War. That is how the Daybreak captures this fracas. Sami Jemfi admits losses after raining wild insults on Afenyo Marking.
This is serious. We're going to comment on that matter, right?
Absolutely.
I don't know what the fixation is about the minority on Gold Board. Look, I think...
Let's finish the headline.
Okay, fine.
Let's run through the other papers and then we'll come back and talk about it.
Business and Financial Times this morning says Ghana passport ranks 123rd globally. And Absa Bank supports 456 million euro financing for Gensa Energy's next phase of growth. That's good news. And then 10 billion Ghana cedis DDEP payment strengthens debt market credibility. The story is on page 3 of the BNFT. Also on the front page, Bank of Africa appoints Ellis Erasmus Katwibazi as deputy MD. And the back page of the Business and Financial Times says, thinking beyond risk, key to building resilient institutions. Hungary signs agreement with GAFF to strengthen agri-business cooperation. So that is the business and finance.
GAFF.
Yeah. So I think that is Governance Africa Foundation.
For Daily Guide, we have governments must not compromise Achimota Forest. That's Nana Jumo Sapo. And you can't claim gains and deny losses. Minority to Gold Board CEO. 22 billion Ghana cedis gold sales loss. I want to appear in Parliament. Sami Jemfi. AI, disinformation, threaten journalism. GJ President. That's Albert Kwabna Jumfo.
Yeah.
And Wuntumi's bail pending appeal pushed to October 15th. That is it for the Daily Guide. And then the Daily Post. That says GRA targets 310 billion Ghana cedis in tax revenue by 2028. And Gold Board CEO, DGPP losses reflect policy cost of Ghana's economic stabilization. Gold cannot save you at 2 a.m. GMTF administrator challenges mining giants to invest in lives. And we have here government pays 10 billion Ghana cedis to bondholders, brings total amount paid since 2025 to 41.3 billion Ghana cedis. Featuring here Sami Jemfi's picture and Finance Minister Ampofo. And at the back, on the back page of the Daily Post, VIP Jenana Opoku Ajiman at the 14th conference of the Chartered Institute of Taxation. So that's it for the Daily Post as well.
All right, Mawuena, I believe you've got the hawk?
Yeah, the hawk and then the business analyst. We'll get straight into
different animals. I know we also have, do we have the spider?
Yeah, there's a spider.
The spider here today. No Anansi today.
No,
all
I
right.
have spider.
Okay.
Mahama Class 10.8 billion DDEP bill in full and in cash. Third cash payout takes total bondholder payments to 41.36 billion. Baumia hits 49.9% in 2028. Poll leads all 7 NDC hopefuls in nationwide Africa Policy Lens survey. Jemfi, call me to Parliament. Gold Board boss begs Agauga for a chance to set the record straight. Moffat to deploy cops police to all districts. Hey, what story is this? FC tallow plants 300 hectares, target 600,000 carbon cut. Reforestation drive target major emissions. Let me just get a bit more in terms of that cops police story. Putting out police. Ghana's Mortuaries and Funeral Facilities Agency plans to deploy personnel to all districts to monitor funeral activities and help prevent the mistreatment of corpses. Corpses. The business analyst, the final one I have, National Youth Forum 2026, youth ministry agencies poised to tackle youth unemployment. Has a picture of George Opariado. GJ at 77, media must adapt to changing economics of digital platforms. Jumfo assets. GJ at 77, Kwesi Pratt criticizes newsrooms for hiring journalists based on social media following. AI must assist, not replace human judgment in journalism. NCA building 500 news sites to improve network coverage. So it's pretty much communication laden on the business analyst this morning. A few other papers, Patrice.
Yes, I thought I had your favorite newspaper, The Hawk.
No, the spider. They said we had the spider in your home.
Well, I'm having difficulty in getting the spider, but
sure.
Anyways, that's about it that we have here. Online, you can do some of the online stories.
All right, let me take you to 3news.com and let's take a look at what the stories have in store for us. I know that, Patrice, you're gearing up to tell us your thoughts on this gold board back and forth. It's turned into a ping-pong match because I know the minority have also responded. But on 3news.com, we are not responsible for 24-hour markets, Guzi Tano. Ghanaians are asked for figures. They were given insults. Fenyo marking claps back at Sami Jemfi. You've also got minority leader Fenyo marking also pictured here. And I'll get you that full text also. Prioritize investment in health. Administrator of Ghana Medical Trust Fund tells mining firms. Ghana and the Netherlands to jointly combat illicit drugs and drug markets. We've been talking about this also. I think we've all gone to bed a little bit, and this canker is still festering, growing stronger and stronger. Russia-Ukraine war, 62 Ghanaians have died in Russia, 15 remain missing. Yesterday we played a soundbite from the Foreign Affairs Minister who says that there's still one Ghanaian who's being held as a prisoner of war. However, there are some positive talks going on, and hopefully we should see a release soon. Early morning blackouts disrupts power supply across several regions. It's on the agenda this morning. Do let us know. Send us a message. Also, be sure to give us a follow on the socials. What is the situation like where you are? Did you all experience a blackout, gentlemen?
Yeah, I did.
Yes.
I did. I woke up thinking I was coming to have coffee this morning. So I was trying to boil water. In the process, the kettle. The kettle. In the process, the power just went off.
Put the kettle off.
So that's Jinapo put the kettle off. We all have seen. So that's it. So.
But I see you were able to fill your.
Oh yes. So it was the level at which it had boiled to. Even if I hadn't boiled, it had heated to.
Okay.
So I just had to get it. I like my warm drinks in the morning.
Yes, very good for the esophagus.
So I had to, unfortunately. Well, I want to believe it's an emergency situation because all the way from Boom, through Tema, all the way Spintex, and then airport, coming through 37.
That's right.
Yeah, then to the office. It was.
I experienced a blackout as well.
Oh, really? Okay, so I'm sure it's nationwide.
The Gas South municipal as well.
Do you know around what time the lights went off for you?
It was 4.
Around 4:30?
Before 4:30.
Before 5 a.m.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's around 4:30.
And the report suggests, we have colleagues in the Ashanti region who also tell us that the situation is same or is similar to what we're experiencing in the capital Accra. And so it's leaving with a bit more in terms of questions as to if it's nationwide in its nature. But Accra and then Kumasi, we understand it's off.
Right.
There's important context because about a week or 2 or 3 ago, it's 2 to 3 ago, I think we had a similar situation.
Yes.
Where the entire grid collapsed. Okay. There was a trip which even affected the generation plant and all of that about 2 to 3 weeks ago. Hopefully it's not something similar. But we're working the phone lines as well to get a bit more in terms of an understanding. But let us know where you are, where you're listening to us from, particularly our friends in the north and then who are listening to us on WFM in Wa, and then Kesme in Tamale as well. Our WhatsApp number is 053-220-0927. Let us know what the power situation as well is this morning, even as we try and work to get a bit more in terms of an understanding. We're placing a few calls through as well to appreciate what the situation is.
But I must commend the Ghana Police Service. Yes, I saw a lot of MTTD officers
controlling traffic because the lights are all out.
That's right. And you know what that means.
That's awesome.
Kudos to MTTD. This story is captured on My Joy Online. So, early morning blackout disrupts power supply across several regions. The disruption was widely felt in Accra, where residents in areas including Adabraka, Weja, Tesano, Achimota, Jolu, Legon, Medina, Adenta, North Kaneshi, Oyarefa began reporting outages from about 4:15 a.m. Parts of the eastern, central, and Ashanti regions have also experienced interruptions, as at the time of reporting, the cause of the outage had not been established. But of course, before we leave today, we'll seek to get some answers. Still on My Joy Online, it's appalling, shocking. It's a killer. Rent commissioner upset over student hostels. 24-hour markets is not our responsibility. Guzitano distances Secretariat from projects. We recently had the engagement with the 24-hour economy, and I think at the end of that discussion, one theme ran through that it seems as though their job has become a bit more convoluted than what was sold to Ghanaians. We were told, very simple, catchy slogan, 133. And that's what the youth were, eagerly waiting for. Now we know that they have expanded their tentacles.
Yeah, to do investments.
I'm telling you, they've gone, deeper into it. So 24-hour markets, if that's what you're interested in, don't go to them. They are the 24-hour economy secretary, but for the 24-hour markets, don't come there. The Lamsey fight must go beyond empty slogans. It requires conscious effort. The Methodist Church there. Rent Commissioner questions licensing of student hostels after startling campus inspections. Keep abreast of new traffic regulations. The police want you and I to stay on top of it. There was recently and now I know an untrue communique that went out about wearing headsets.
You're not supposed to wear headsets whilst you're driving.
Is that in the rules?
Yes, you are not supposed to wear headsets because you block off anything or block out anything that is supposed to hear. You're listening to music.
What about when they say you go hands-free?
Yeah, hands-free.
Is that different? That's different.
That's different from wearing the headset.
Like this?
Yes.
Okay.
That means you're listening to music and something else is blocking it. So if there's anything happening and somebody's trying to caution you, it may be difficult for you to hear, or you may lose concentration. The music may be one that you like so much that you would lose focus and hit somebody.
I think road safety, national road safety, should be throwing more light on these things. And it's important that they pay attention to the civic education needed, not just in English, but even in our local dialects. So our brothers who did not have the privilege to speak the Queen's English can also appreciate and even learn,
It's important.
Yes.
A few more online stories here. AMA deploys task force to check illegal fare hikes by drivers. NMC reconstitutes boards of state-owned media companies. All right, I think the other stories.
For the ledger here, public debt, 10.816 billion has been paid in full cash. The Ministry of Finance has now confirmed the exact settlement paid to the domestic debt exchange program bondholders. And Gold Board, more than 450 million raised without BOG funding. Gold Board CEO Sami Jemfi says the institution has raised more than 450 million from commercial banks and gold off-takers since March 2026 to finance gold purchases without relying on Bank of Ghana funding. And we also have courts. Today is the vacation trial test. The Supreme Court is expected to deal with the injunction application challenging the continuation of selected criminal trials during the legal vacation. The Kwabena Edubuahene trial has already been stayed until August 25th, pending the Supreme Court's determination. And on the economy, producer price inflation has risen to 4.0%. Ghana Statistical Service now places producer price inflation at 4.0% for July 2026, up 0.5 percentage points from June. Consumer inflation, by comparison, stood at 4.6% in July. And on the cocoa bill, still no assent, still no consultation filed. The Ghana Cocoa Board bill remains unsigned. According to the latest independently verified reporting, farmer groups are still asking President Mahama to withhold assent until concerns over land conversion and unproductive cocoa farms are addressed. And then on PBC, the 673 million Ghana cedis question remains unanswered. There's still no comprehensive published restructuring balance sheet for produce buying company. The latest credible hard numbers remain 673 million Ghana cedis in total debt including around 24 million Ghana cedis owed to farmers and 257 million Ghana cedis owed to a banking consortium that obtained an asset seizure order. Gold traceability technology is now moving from promise to procurement. A fresh report this morning says Ghana is exploring technology capable of tracking gold back to its mine source. This sits alongside Gold Board's intention to build a national traceability framework. And on retail policy, Egbeta and Guta moved to protect Ghanaian traders. And then the Ghana Investment Promotion Authority and Guta have announced measures aimed at protecting Ghanaian-owned informal retail businesses. The agreement was reported early this morning. So that's it for the ledger.
All right, certainly, Mawuena, I know you've got a statement coming in from Gridco. Let's hear it.
There's a statement that's just come through from the Ghana Grid Company. It reads that the Ghana Grid Company, Gridco, wishes to inform the general public that at approximately 4:30 a.m. today, Thursday, 20th August 2026, the National Power System experienced a major fault on the Akosombo Volta transmission line. The fault resulted in the automatic tripping of the Akosombo generating unit and some thermal generating plants as part of the system's protection mechanisms to safeguard the integrity and stability of the national interconnected transmission system. This consequently resulted in the loss of power supply to some parts of the country. Immediately following the incident, Gridco engineers working in close coordination with other power sector agencies took steps to isolate the affected transmission line and commence a safe and systemic restoration of the power. Power supply has already been restored to some affected areas, and restoration efforts are progressing steadily to ensure that supply is restored to all remaining affected customers as quickly and safely as possible. Gridco regrets the inconvenience caused by the temporary outage and assures the general public that all relevant technical teams have been fully mobilized and are working with urgency to achieve complete restoration of the power system. And Gridco will continue to provide updates as further information becomes available, and appreciates the patience, understanding and cooperation of the public as restoration efforts continue. And so there's a trip on the Akosombo transmission line which affected generation at the Akosombo plant and some thermal plants as well, which has resulted in this. But I think the indication is that this is not nationwide like we saw some 3 weeks ago. It's just some part of the country. But I think from the statement, what you can immediately point out is that the trip resulted in the generating plants going off as well. In the case some 3 weeks ago, all of the plants went off, right? And so that's just but I think what this does is it provides a bit more reason as to why that happened, that it's a mechanism to protect the systems, which is what results in them going off and all of that. But it says restoration is underway, and as and when there's a bit more in terms of details, we can connect with them. But this is the latest that's coming from the Ghana Grid Company.
All right, certainly. Thank you for that. Your messages are trickling in. Do send us a message. This one is coming from the London Borough of Lambeth. Shout out to you. That's in South. It says we have lights throughout the year. Okay. No room
really?
for... Yes, please.
We have like... Who's that?
Texting from Lambeth.
Oh, not in Ghana.
Not in Ghana.
Oh, okay. They have power. They have power. No
yes, problem. I think Lambeth is in South London. Correct me if I'm wrong. So we have lights throughout the year. No room for excuses. Ibrahim, good morning to you. Okay, keep enjoying the lights. I see some more messages coming through. This one is Amasaman and its environs experience blackouts around 5 a.m. Our lights are still off. You say Pokwase as well. And also, Accra in Swam Road has no U-turn. From Pokwase, you have to go to Sapperman before you can turn to Amasaman.
Yeah, that is
It's very bad. Please talk about it and let the road ministry know for us. That's what is on their hearts this morning.
That is a highway. That is a highway. So you see what when it comes to engineering and spatial planning, these are things that you do. You don't place certain residential areas along certain routes. Otherwise, people would feel that is the immediate route they have to use to join the highway. It's a highway. You cannot have a U-turn on a highway. No.
Certainly.
Yes.
All right. Now, this story definitely piqued your interest, Patrice. Let me get into the details and we'll talk some more. Sammy Gyamfi admits losses. Captured on page 3 of the Daybreak newspaper. Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Gold Board, Sammy Gyamfi, appears to have eaten humble pie after weeks of fierce criticism of Minority Leader Alexander Afenyo-Marking over claims of financial losses linked to the state's gold trading operations. Mr. Gyamfi, who had previously accused Mr. Afenyo-Marking of pursuing a smear campaign against Gold Board, has now acknowledged that losses were indeed recorded under the domestic gold purchase program. Speaking at the Government Accountability Series on Wednesday, August 19th, 2026, Mr. Gyamfi conceded that losses occurred, although he disputed the suggestion that the entire amount should be attributed to Gold Board. I'm quoting him here. He said, "Nobody is saying there hasn't been loss, but be factual about it." Patrice, what were your thoughts?
No, for me, this is where I start. I believe at the inception of setting up Gold Board, we had a lot of good stories coming from what Gold Board had achieved in terms of how much gold had been purchased, in terms of how much injection Gold Board had been able to make into the economy of this country. And many people were applauding it. So it looked like Gold Board had become the go-to alternative to the way this economy is supposed to generate revenue. And for me, I thought it was a beautiful thing that we needed to follow. What I do not like about what is going on is that it looks as though the minority has become fixated on Gold Board, like to scuttle something that we believe, if we should work well at it, is going to secure a good place for this economy. I remember also that when Gold Board started touting all the goodies, the great things that they were doing, the minority said that no, this is what
Gold for Oil.
Gold for Oil, yes, under Bawumia had started. So it's not something that is novel. This is something that is already running. Fair enough. So if it's something that was already running by your definition, and it's been continued by Sammy Gyamfi, and we have given them rulership for the next 4 years. Stop distorting things, stop worrying, stop staggering, stop doing all these things. I think what you're doing is that we're just confusing the process. It was something that the minority promised they were going to do in Parliament. They said they are not enough, but then they would ensure that they tackle the government. I am not a believer in the fact that when somebody is doing something good, you need to find something critically wrong about it. No. They have work to do in Parliament. You were given 8 years to run this country. You ran it aground. And it is a fact for everybody to see. The reason the one who was handling the portfolio of finance is not in this country and has become a citizen of another country.
Patrice, can I slide tackle you very quickly on that point? Because I've also heard the minority clap back at that every time they seek to, exact accountability,
yes,
we tell them that, oh, you were at the helm of affairs for 8 years. They're saying that today is a new day.
Great.
I mean, does the fact that they, according to the people of Ghana, they didn't do a good job, prevent them from now, obviously, performing their function?
They have lost their voice. It's as if they've lost their voice.
You say they've lost their voice.
No, I'm saying that are we
taking their voice away from them?
We're not taking their voice from them. But you see, there's a difference between critiquing somebody's work and criticizing somebody's work.
Okay.
So if you were given 8 years and you had set a blueprint, a track for somebody to follow, you'd not be having so many hitches and glitches because you would make reference. What has the minority got to reference to? What are you referencing? That you did better? Is that what they are saying? That you did better? For me, the gold board thing ought to be seen as a national treasure, because even when the NDC exits office, gold board is still there, just as we have cocoa board. My point is that let us work diligently to ensure that gold board is on track. It is not to say that, oh, what the minority is saying is trying to put them on track, but I think the poking is too much. The nudging would have been better, but the poking is too much. If you want to say it in a documented way, but not hold press conferences, come and tell us about the losses and all. Haven't we had losses? You see, there's one thing about politics that I don't want us to meddle with, because we are media people. I don't like this person cuts me on the left, so I'll cut the person on the right. I don't like what people refer to as equalization. So you say that, oh, but under MPP you also did this, but you also did this. No, but when you push people to the wall, these are the things that come out.
Mawuena, I want to pick your thoughts on this. Let's expand the conversation a little bit, because that always seems to be the comeback at the minority. It appears as though these days, or not even these days, since the majority took over, the NDC government took over, whenever the NPP wants to say, hey, we saw what you did in 8 years, at what point do we begin to maybe put the past in the past and allow them to do their work as accountability partners, if you will? Or is it such a tainted record that it's very difficult for the average Ghanaian to swallow whatever it is that they have for us to say? Is it two-pronged? Is it that, one, the information maybe is not as clear and as clear as it can be, or the motive is not as clear as it should be? And then on the other side as well, because of the track record of the NPP, we're finding it difficult to actually accept what they say.
Here's how I put it, right? It's a case of sore wounds, right? No, so sore is the same as wounds, so I mean, not. It's a case of certain sores, right, still not properly healed for a cross-section of individuals. I recall in the aftermath of the 2016 elections, when President Akufo-Addo had assumed office, 2017, 2018, when there was relative stability in terms of how things were operating. It was the same arduous task the NDC had to face in terms of criticism. I recall the minority then raising hell about Frankel Templeton bonds, and nobody gave them a listening ear. And subsequently, in the dying days of the Akufo-Addo administration, some of those things came back up, and people were asking the question, so all of this was happening at the time and we weren't paying attention. Genuinely, in the aftermath of a major defeat, like we've seen after the 8-year cycle, the party at the receiving end tends to suffer credibility crisis. Right? They tend to suffer a credibility crisis where nothing they put forward is properly accepted. Having experienced the aftermath of the 2016 elections, when President Mahama then lost, and the struggles of the NDC at the time in Parliament in policing and putting the government of the day's feet to fire. It's a similar thing that is happening. There will be legitimate concerns which will be raised. But having experienced it before and now, I think the approach has to be a bit different. On this gold board saga, where I believe the conversation lies is the fact that it's a 22 billion cedis cost or loss worth it in terms of what we saw play out. How do we justify 22 billion cedis in losses vis-a-vis how much forex we brought in? It's been reduced to, it's a gold board's loss vis-a-vis Bank of Ghana's loss. And that is where I believe the conversation is descended into the arena of politics. Yesterday I was telling somebody that, look, I've seen a fair few people say that, okay, yesterday the address was a bit aimed. They took Sammy Gyamfi took aim at the minority leader to a great extent, and I've read people who ask the question, well, where were you when the minority leader was taking aim at him? Right? We here, not just on 3FM, but on TV3 as well, have put out what the numbers are.
What the numbers mean.
And what they mean. Was there a loss? Yes, $1.7 billion US. What does it translate to in terms of cedi denomination? 22 billion cedis. What does the IMF's own report, which has been referenced, which was referenced by the minority leader during that press conference, what does it say? It says that the domestic gold purchase program was scaled up. It resulted in losses. Remember, there were losses in 2024. And again, I keep making the point that nobody is justifying the loss when we are making the analysis.
Sorry, but are the losses Bank of Ghana's or Gold Board? And according to Gold Board, they have never made losses. No, they have rather made surpluses.
Yes, and I'll get into all of that because, and I like the fact that portion, paragraph 13, page 10 of the news, some call it a newsletter by the IMF, some call it an IMF report, whatever. That document, if you go onto our Facebook, you see it. It's a bit blurry, but it's on Facebook right now. Case behind you. If you read, it suggests that look, the domestic gold purchase program was scaled up. It cost up to 17% of the value of Dory gold and all of that. Yeah. Then they do a breakdown of some sort as to where the losses went. It says the losses accrued on gold trade combination, whatever. Yeah. Let me get.
We now
service and assay fees paid to Gold Board, discount on gold sold to off-takers, that's exporters, and most importantly, exchange rate losses from the spread, right? So it explains that. Obviously, as an agent of the Bank of Ghana in going about and purchasing the gold Board was dealing directly with the persons who had this precious metal and were the ones offering the Forex Bureau rates to purchase the gold and not BOG rates. The understanding from which is fresh detail which we got from that news conference yesterday suggests that has always been the practice, that you don't buy at BOG rates, you buy at prevailing commercial bank or Forex Bureau rates.
Indeed.
Because that is more competitive than the BOG rates. A fair question which can be asked is why that should continue to be the case if it attracts this much in terms of a hit on the books in terms of the agreement we're engaged in. Right? When you look at the books of the Gold Board, it's very clear for them, once they were playing the role of an agent, they were getting their fees and they were buying the gold and everything. The insistence to say that, okay, the loss is theirs and theirs alone doesn't tally with what the books are.
Mawuena, I want us to also hear it from the horse's own mouth. When we come back, Codjoe, I want your bite on this. We've moved away from, shall I say, the politics of it all. Let's get into the nitty-gritty, because the aim here this morning is to also shed light on actually what the numbers mean, put it against the 3 different reasons for which the IMF says these losses occurred, and then ultimately tease out a point there that Afenyo Marking makes, that one particular institute cannot benefit to the detriment of another one, so that Gold Board is thriving, Bank of Ghana isn't. And I think if they had presented their news conference in that manner, if that's what they wanted to say, it would have made things very different.
Okay, but the facts don't speak to that. The facts speak to Gold Board not making losses. The gold for this is what Bank of Ghana is responsible for. So situate it properly. That is all.
All right, take
the
a
gold
quick
for
listen.
revenue thing. So you should situate it properly. We should not waste our time.
It's simply intended to address a number
After adducing these
business
indisputable findings of the Auditor General to puncture the lie that the Gold Board made losses in 2025, Afenyomarkin and his associates quickly abandoned this line of attack and have now sought refuge in the recently published IMF report on the Bank of Ghana's extended credit facility, in which the IMF reported that the Bank of Ghana recorded a loss of $1.7 billion under its domestic gold purchase program in 2025. Their position has now conveniently changed from the old false narrative that the Gold Board made losses to the new false narrative, which is that the Gold Board is responsible for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing could be further from the truth. First, nowhere in the under-referenced IMF reports is Gold Board accused by the IMF as having caused the losses reported to have been incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. I challenge Afenyomarkin to point to any page, paragraph, sentence, phrase, or punctuation mark in the said reference reports of the IMF where the Gold Board was accused by the IMF. This claim is a barefaced lie, which has been debunked time without number by the Gold Board. The audited annual reports and financial statements of the Gold Board for the year ended December 31st, 2025, prepared and published by the Auditor General of Ghana, discloses an operational surplus of 907 million Ghana cedis and an overall surplus of profit of 5.4 billion Ghana cedis. This is an incontrovertible fact. And today, to settle this matter once and for all, I brought to this auditorium a copy of the annual report and financial statements of the Gold Board, prepared and published by the Auditor General, not Sammy Jemfi and the Gold Board. We don't audit ourselves. Now, if you check page 12 of this report, you will see that the Gold Board on its own, from its own operations, generated total revenue of close to 1 billion Ghana cedis and kept expenditure just around 109 million Ghana cedis. And so that is what we mean by operational profit or surplus of 907 million. It means that if you took all the revenue we generated as an organization and you deducted our expenditure from it, we had 907 million left. Now, because in the 2025 budget statement, government budgeted a revolving seed capital as its equity for the newly established Gold Board of 4.5 billion Ghana cedis, which monies hit our accounts on or about 30th of December 2025. Those funds had to be added to the revenue of the Gold Board because they were not encumbered, they were not depleted, they were not dissipated. And that is why the overall surplus is 5.4 billion. And this reporting was done by the Auditor General under what is known as IPSAS guidelines. And the chartered accountants and auditors understand this very well. So we brought 50 copies, and we are going to distribute to you the audited financials of the Gold Board for 2025 as prepared and published by the Auditor General of Ghana, which puts to rest the false claim that the Gold Board has been making losses.
All right. And there is the Gold Board CEO, Sammy Jemfi, speaking there to the losses as attributed to the Gold Board by the minority. Codjoe, come in for me.
Well, Helen, Codjoe once said, the true measure of democracy isn't the muscle of the man, majority. It's the backbone of the minority. When power grows too comfortable, even a minority of one must rise. However, in this particular instance, which I beautifully captured yesterday in my write-up, Romantic Nonsense, I think it's important that we appreciate that the minority has every right to interrogate the domestic gold purchase program.
So that should be established?
Yes.
Okay.
There's 21.89 billion Ghana cedis in gross dollar losses, which is not pocket change. It's something. No, that's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Yes, and neither is the roughly 9.05 billion net gold deal loss reflected in the Bank of Ghana's audited 2025 accounts. So public money deserves public answers, of course. Mm-hmm. So let's establish the fact that the minority has the right to speak to the issues, but when the matter is politicized,
which is what's happening,
then it takes the substance of the legitimate concern.
In fact, it completely detracts from the meat of the matter. We lose focus.
That's why it's been reduced to actually.
Yes.
That's why Sami Jemfi went on the tangent he went on, because we had the minority leader, and with all reference and respect to him, was suggesting bail conditions for somebody who is still in office.
Yes.
You know,
sort of look, he was projecting into the future.
I'm just backing up Kay on the fact that
those are unnecessary threats.
Why we should not repeat 22
my biggest gripe here is with the minority is that speaking to issues should come with clarity, so that you don't become the boy who cried wolf. One day, you and I will have to pay attention to a serious issue, but we would have had a series of these press conferences where we've had to come and dispel misinformation or disinformation to the point that the day that they'll really be crying wolf, we would have tuned our minds off, and that's dangerous.
I was hoping the minority will ask these 5 legitimate questions. Who determined pricing?
Mm-hmm.
Who were the off-takers? What discounts were granted? What fees were charged? And could Ghana have mobilized the same foreign exchange at lower cost? You know, these would have been more meaningful questions. If you quite remember, since Gold Board's inception, the first scandal that fell in water was the alleged Bower Rock. You remember?
Yeah, the Bower Rock.
There was the Bower Rock conversation.
It's an aggregator.
Yes, where there were allegations, and I mean, it turned out to be untrue. And it turned out that it was total falsehood. Then fast forward, we saw the chairman of the Public Accounts Committee, which is Abena Osei-Asari, Madam Abena Osei-Asari. Yes, she was a former deputy finance minister under the Akufo-Addo-Bawumia government. You know, she's usually vociferous at Public Account Committee hearings, asking all the 21 questions, you know, things that happen under her tenure. She argued that BOG disclosed only 214 million in losses before IMF later revealed the 1.7 billion US dollars. But when we fact-checked her claim, it turned out that the 214 million US dollars was a narrower IMF estimate covering ASM Dory through quarter 3 of 2025, not BOG's audited full year loss. So it was a wrong figure, wrong period, wrong measure, and it was delivered with a lot of confidence. So that's where I believe these allegations started gaining momentum. And then there was minority leader Osahin Afenyomakin, who also attacked Gold Board and said, you know, they keep the fees and disown the costs. I think that also is very important to clarify, like Mawuena has done earlier. He's thrown a lot of light on it. But Gold Board's audited numbers tell a very different institutional story.
Thank you.
Its 2025 accounts recorded about 970.8 million in non-tax revenue and an operational surplus of roughly 909.7 million Ghana cedis. The larger 5.44 billion overall surplus included a 4.55 billion Ghana cedis government grant. So nobody should pretend the entire 5.44 billion was trading profit. But equally, nobody should also pretend that the entity reporting an operational surplus somehow recorded a 22 billion corporate loss. So back to my central point, I think the minority should have been more discerning in their approach with this Gold Board issue, because Appiah himself would say when the fundamentals are weak. Yes, and they've unfortunately they have been exposed, and evidence should lead to accusation, not chase it. But they've just been chasing the evidence.
Okay, the heckling is just too much. We are tired. Look at a newspaper that is supposed to, what's the name? Inform people and educate them. Says on its front page, Sami Jemfi admits losses. So you just have to get a newspaper and read. What we have to do here is to delve deeper into the matter and let people understand exactly what it is. I am not saying do not critique the work of Gold Board, but the heckling is too much. Meanwhile, that seems to be like, so to speak, the cash cow of the country now, looking at the direction that we're going. So, as opposition, do you want the government in power just to fail, for it to come and take over power, and then you also fail? Then the next person, what kind of crab-like attitude is that? It's becoming so tiring, and I just don't understand what minority is doing with all their press conferences. Allow Gold Board to function. I am not saying critique them. Once in a while, throw in, but this jabbing is just becoming nauseating. It's uncomfortable.
I think one thing we are not.
I wanted you to repeat those 5 questions you put out, and I think we should also put our minds to it, because I think these are legitimate concerns that could have been addressed, would have been better suited for that press conference. Please, if you don't mind, those 5 questions.
Yes, and just before I repeat those 5 questions, I think it's important we appreciate Gold Board as a young institution. It has transitioned to become Gold Board, but it's still a young institution. I mean, still piloting these new initiatives. So it's important that when you speak to their issues, there should be a lot of discernment. We should be measured. We cannot just throw allegations in the air and expect to get away with it. So the 5 questions: who determined pricing? And what discounts were granted?
Because the reason why I say that is, Mawuena, that was one of the reasons for which losses were made, this discounts. I would have been interested as a Ghanaian to get more flesh on the bones. This discounts, where they're from, who determines it, yes.
And who were the off-takers? What fees were charged? And could Ghana have mobilized the same foreign exchange at lower cost? So these are the 5 questions that I feel, or I think,
very legitimate
should
questions.
Have led the conversation.
This one will make a lot more sense than the heckling that is going on. Meanwhile,
you should make me the minority leader.
You are. Meanwhile, the CEO of the institution that you are targeting has come out to lay the figures bare. Now, it is Gold Board, and then what's the name? The Auditor General's report. If we are downplaying it, that means we are questioning the work of the Auditor General, saying that Auditor General is not fit for the job that he's doing. So he says that they don't make profits. Theirs is surpluses. They are not there to make profits. It's surpluses. And the reports that they have indicates that we have not made any losses.
Drink some more coffee. Let me read a few messages and then we'll make way for sports. Beneshan is here. He doesn't have his waistcoat on today.
I see.
But it's for good reason. He'll be telling us about something happening in Pram Pram today. This message this morning. Good morning, Mawuena, and please let my sweet lady in the studio. I think that would be me, gentlemen. Let my sweet lady in the studio know that the scars left Ghanaians is so serious that it's a reminder for us in the future for it not to be repeated.
I think it's
in
relation to the soul and the fact that
it says the problem with Afenyo marking and NPP, it's not only suffering from public sympathy, but recklessly jumping in ahead of the facts. Okay, I think I've made heads and tails of this message. Jones in La. Thank you so much for your message.
A few on Facebook. Neron de Boanegres says Gold Board contracted 3FM to broadcast a program on its behalf. Gold Board paid 3FM to execute the contract and run at a loss. How can we phrase it so that 3FM is said to have made a loss instead of attributing the loss to Gold Board? I mean, this thinking. Codjoe says, who really understood what the NPP is trying to communicate against the Gold Board? I don't understand them, but see their action as jealousy and envy. The two of them return on the power situation. Codjoe says, can some serious transfers be made at the power sector for some studies? Neron also asks says that the frequency of electricity trips is concerning and should be closely monitored to assess the possibility of any sabotage. He adds, E.K. Abraham says there must be a total overhaul at ECG. Nationwide, Deputy Energy Minister is busy sharing street lights like water. He adds, Titus Latari, I see you as well on Facebook. I'm going to go quickly to YouTube as well and see if...
All right. Whilst you do that, this one says, good morning, Helen and team. Good morning to you, Kwame Fire. He says, my only issue with the conference was how the Gold Board CEO addressed the minority leader as one Afenyo marking, and it makes it personal. But my question is, why must it always be the IMF that determines the state of the country? The minority has always prayed for this type of failure so they can take over. And he says, welcome, Patrice.
Why will it become personal when, we personalize how someone decides to conduct his father-in-law's funeral? Sami Devi has been a subject of so much criticism.
Yeah, and I think the heckling of Sami
They should give him a break.
It is just too much.
They should give him a break.
Gold Board is a flagship program of Ghana.
I mean, not to endorse the unsavory words, that he used in his press conference, but
he said certain things.
Yes,
what?
And he was very harsh. But
like what? Like what did he say?
He's equally human. He's not a robot.
Yeah.
We'll park this one for when we return. I see Kekudo has opened his eyes wide.
I wanted to know, so I'll either add on or
a few more. This one says, good morning, Eric and your team. Anan from Sapiman here. The lights are still off. Okay, do keep those comments coming through to us. Let us know what the situation is like where you are this morning.
Champions are not made on match day. They are shaped by belief, opportunity, and the support of those who stand beside them every step of the way. As football takes center stage around the world, Goldfields proudly continues its more than 2 decades of support for Ghana football, backing our national teams and helping grow the game. Goldfields, creating enduring value beyond mining.
3FM, the best in the morning.
get into the sports right now. Bill Shen is here. Will do that for us. Bill, I trust that all is well with you.
Yeah, all is well. What's up?
I'm good. We could do with a warm cup of coffee or something, right?
Yeah.
To do with a bit of a block notes of some sort this morning as well. But let's get into it. The GFA Congress is big. On the agenda for us today. What should we look forward to at this Congress? Obviously, there's been a conversation about a third term for CAD and all of that. Do those feature today? Does that come up as a conversation to start off with?
I think already, the opening for that third term was done last year. And now it will be left for whether CAT wants to actually stand for the third term or not. And I do believe that a lot of people need answers on who will possibly be the woman's second vice president, because that was also open last year. So there should be clarification on that front. And also the start of the Ghana Premier League season. I've seen artworks already flying about match day 1, and I see a disaster on the artwork, but there hasn't been as much publicity as to whether they're showing or not, and I hope that there's that clarification as well, and what the plan is for the Division 1 League and the MTN FA Cup and all those competitions, while also looking at some other important matters that happens or that goes on in the local football, like the headline sponsorship, because we've not had that since 2023. Very problematic. So the hope is that all of these questions are answered at this Congress, and then we can make progress. But definitely we should expect maybe some announcements regarding the third term that is coming up. Maybe if Kurt would want to go for the third term, or if he wouldn't want to go for the third term.
He will not go. He will not want to go for third term. The person wants to go for third term. You two are here.
You never know. You can cite some reasons for not wanting to go.
Maybe Africa becomes open and available.
Maybe like a higher role, or there are several other reasons why you might not go. But hey, if he goes to, that wouldn't be much of a surprise, would it?
Right. So those are the items, discussions about the GPL's return, FA Cup, and some others in relation. That's what Congress will all be about today. How long is it expected to last? Today and tomorrow, or it's just today?
Just today. Congress usually takes a few hours. The least I have seen personally is like 3 hours, but it can drag to like 5 hours, depending on, they file different motions. It can drag. There can be conversations around it, and then there can be like straight approvals where it can just become as smooth as possible. So it depends on what comes up, and it depends on what the football people do think at that particular point in time. But I do expect that they have been already briefed, so it might be as smooth as possible, and we might have some not as many hours as people would expect.
But John Obi Mikel is a former Chelsea player, is a Nigerian legend. I won the AFCON with them as well. He's making a trip to Ghana with his Obi-Wan podcast. Talk to us about that as well.
Very, very significant. We've not seen Obi Mikel move around or come to Africa with the Obi-Wan podcast, but he's coming to Ghana with that podcast. That podcast is expected to happen on Sunday, but it's strictly by invitation, unfortunately. So not all and sundry are invited to attend. But what's on the bill is he's going to be engaging Andre Ayew. If you've realized, in the last few months, Andre Ayew has become very, very sort of in your face in the media space. I've seen him at multiple events in the last few months, and this is just going to be one of the events that he's going to appear in, and we probably expect him to talk a lot about his journey, about his time at the Black Stars, and his plans for the future.
So Andrea, you will be on that podcast. When is he expected in the country?
Or he's in the country on Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
The league starts on Friday as well, the English Premier League.
Yeah, but the podcast itself would be on Sunday.
No. The
league starts on Friday.
I'm just trying to move on from.
Okay. The league starts on Friday.
I saw that you guys have been doing some work in terms of a prediction who ends up and all of that. I was seeing that on Monday. And,
What's your prediction?
I was watching you continue to make very unfortunate comments using the distinguished platform to be championing Arsenal propaganda. But it's all fair. I mean,
is your team going to win the Premier League?
I haven't followed them in sincerity.
Okay.
No, I'm a Chelsea fan. Will be a big, but I haven't followed. In fact, even during pre-season, I think what I caught wind of yesterday was the fact that João Pedro has picked up the 9 jersey and all of that, and I mean, not many people have worn 9 and done fantastic for Chelsea.
True.
And so, I mean, I saw the conversations around it, and I think 2 or 3 quotes from him saying that it's just superstition and doesn't believe in it, and he'll get to work and deliver the goals. But I haven't paid particular attention to them. What I have is the rumors about whether Enzo stays or not, and those conversations. With how the league will go, I want to see when the games start. Careful optimism, really. In the last few seasons, I've not been a very happy fan. I have to be very honest. But
I think Chelsea gets into the Champions League. I think they'll qualify.
No, I'm not interested in getting the Champions League. I want that EPL. So
nice one.
It's why I'm not particularly fussed, right, about it. That's why I want to see what Alonso does with the team when it starts. Because it's been 10 years since we last won the league, right? With Antonio Conte. So it's been quite some time back. So we need to see something in that regard happen again. Enough of all of that talk about progress being made and building for the future. We've had almost 5 years of Todd Bowley and Begdad Egbali. It should translate into domestic silverware on the continental phase. We've done. I mean, we're a club that knows how to win.
Yeah.
Right, and that you can't take away from us. But on the domestic front, we want to see some silverware, and the big one is what I want to see. But I'll continue to be sit on the fence a bit.
I like that you want to see the silverware. Unfortunately, I don't think Chelsea, Manchester United, Man City, Liverpool, Tottenham, any of them are ready to challenge Arsenal this season. I think it's going to be a cakewalk this season. Last season was tough, but this season, cakewalk. Maybe the following season we can talk about, Chelsea winning the silverware. That is fine, but this season, absolutely no chance.
I mean, that's fair. I hear Arsenal talking.
Yes.
And not a football analyst talking, but that's fair. Because we're an Arsenal fan.
So
that's fair.
Okay, so let's
because one team that a lot of people have overlooked is Spurs. I think Spurs have done fantastic work in terms of the transfer window.
They have.
And with De Zerbi at the helm of affairs, having gotten pre-season and gotten a fair Spurs are Spurs, right? They always find a very interesting way to piss on their bed and all of that. But if things should, I think Spurs are one to look out for this season. Nobody seems to be paying attention to them, but I think the only thing that cracked me up is their defense and their goalkeeper. That's very suspect, very suspect. But other than that, I think they are putting up quite a team.
I mean, I'm putting Arsenal aside totally. I think Chelsea have made a very good decision bringing in Xabi Alonso. I think he's the man for them. I think he's a winner. He did win. He did go through a whole Bundesliga season without tasting a defeat. That's a mark of a winner. But I think he's going to need time, right? I think he's going to need time. He's lost Marco Correa, Enzo Fernandez.
But he's got replacements.
Compare Cucurella to the replacements. I don't think they're of the same level. And Enzo Fernandez, who is meant to be the captain, is also unsettled. That's something he has to manage. It's going to be very difficult for him. Manchester City, they've lost Rodri, who had been an institution in midfield, right? I don't think it's going to be easy.
City will struggle, not because of a Maresca hate, but I just feel losing Rodri and the tinkering sometimes he does as well.
Yeah.
He will need some time to steady the boat, and then he will go on.
Yes.
But that's just a perception thing. He could actually hit the ground running. You know the Community Shield case.
Yeah.
More often than not, a team that does well in the Community Shield doesn't. So it could well turn around for him, right? But I mean, based on that Community Shield game, it gives a lot of people. It's raised a number of question marks as to whether or not he can hit the ground running and all of that.
Yeah.
What I don't want is excuses for managers. Look, you've had preseason, you've seen the team. Every manager at this top level should be able to hit the ground running. We've seen it before. What? Tuchel came in mid-season. What did he do?
You won the Champions League.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Got us in an FA Cup final.
Yeah.
The following season, but for injuries and the team sabotaging itself, would have gone out to win the league, right? So managers should hit the ground running, and I think fans are absolutely in their right to ask that. Don't come and tell us you are steadying the boots, hit the ground running and get us results.
Yeah, I get that. But what goes against all of these managers is, right, they're now trying to sort of get their systems in place with the tools that they have, right? They're trying to get their own DNA across. And it varies, right? It varies with clubs, it varies with the kind of players you go and meet. It's not that simple.
It's a good manager's forte, the fact that you can work with what you have.
I mean, you can work with it, but some of them...
this guy...
So, I think with Tuchel's...
At wing back.
So, I think with Tuchel's bit,
and not
right?
just him. We've seen other managers.
I think with Tuchel's bit, I feel what worked for him was he came to meet the set of players that he needed at that point to translate what he wanted. And it works like magic when your ideologies, your style, everything fits, right? It works like magic. Now, what I believe that Arsenal have over all of the other teams is that they still have the same manager. The manager has inculcated a certain style, which now translates throughout the team, and they understand the style. And he has gone on to sort of make additions.
Who, Maresca?
No, I'm talking about Arteta, not Maresca.
Oh, Arteta, the haram football.
That is what gives him the advantage over everybody, right? Everybody. He literally has the head start.
They will, yes. So that's a fair point. But he will be challenged greatly because Iraola at Liverpool, Maresca at City, Xabi Alonso at...
Iraola is taking a bigger job than what he's used to. So he has to settle into that.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm mentioning the managers who are having to now rally together, but they've got preseason. Granted, Arsenal has a head start, but you can knock them off.
Yes.
But I mean, fair. It's fair in the analysis to say that look, it's Arsenal's to lose this league season, and that's fair analysis. I always tell people when outside of here we will do agenda, but once you're here, you've got to be factual and speak to the facts. But sport is brought to us by
Goldfields. They have been powering the WAFCON, the Black Queens, the Black Stars, and now the Black Challenge as well, as they also prepare for their major competitions.
Absolutely. Baylor Shen with the very latest from the world of sports, and as always, sports here on the 3FM Sunrise is brought to you by Goldfields Ghana.
findings of the Auditor General to puncture the lie that the gold board made losses in 2025. Afenyomarkin and his associates quickly abandoned this line of attack and have now sought refuge in the recently published IMF report on the Bank of Ghana's extended credit facility, in which the IMF reported that the Bank of Ghana recorded a loss of $1.7 billion under its domestic gold purchase program in 2025. Their position has now conveniently changed from the old false narrative that the gold board made losses to the new false narrative, which is that the gold board is responsible for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. Ladies and gentlemen, nothing could be further from the truth. First, nowhere in the under-referenced IMF report is gold board accused by the IMF as having caused the losses reported to have been incurred by the Bank of Ghana under the domestic gold purchase program. I challenge Afenyomarkin to point to any page, paragraph, sentence, phrase, or punctuation mark in the said reference reports of the IMF where the gold board was accused by the IMF as the entity responsible for losses incurred by the Bank of Ghana. In summary, ladies and gentlemen, what the IMF report states is that Bank of Ghana incurred losses through the sale of gold under its domestic gold purchase program of $400 million in the year 2024 and $1.7 billion in the year 2025. And that the 2025 loss of $1.7 billion was as a result of, I'm quoting the IMF verbatim, the scaling up of the domestic gold purchase program, not incompetence or mismanagement. According to the IMF, that loss was as a result of the scaling up, the expansion of the program. The IMF also stated that these accounting losses partly reflect valuation effects. In particularizing what the IMF considers to be components of this loss, the IMF listed three things, which included fees paid to the gold board under the domestic gold purchase program. This is the true context within which the name of the gold board featured relative to losses under the DGPP in the other reference IMF reports.
All right, and that was the Gold Board CEO, Sammy Gyamfi, speaking to the allegations as put forth by the Minority Caucus in Parliament. Let's now turn our attention to the response to the statement by the CEO of the Gold Board. The minority has rejected Gold Board's explanation. They're actually calling for an ad hoc committee to probe its operations. Let me take you to that press statement right about now. Now it says, response to the statement by the Chief Executive of the Ghana Gold Board, dated Wednesday, 19th August, 2026. On Tuesday, 18th August 2026, the minority in Parliament addressed a press conference on the financial and operational performance of the Ghana Gold Board on reported losses under the domestic gold purchase program. Today, Wednesday, 19th August 2026, government acting through the Gold Board responded at the Government Accountability Series. The minority has considered the full text of that response and states as follows. The Gold Board statement this morning confirms more than it rebuts. First, the loss is admitted. The chief executive does not dispute the IMF's finding that there is a loss of some $1.7 billion US, and that's 22 billion Ghana cedis, under the domestic gold purchase program in 2025. He disputes only who should be blamed. This is public money, whichever state balance sheet it sits on. Second, the fee arithmetic is now on record. The chief executive tells us the gold board accounted for about some 133 billion Ghana cedis in advances in 2025, and that it was paid an assay fee of some 0.258% and a service fee of some 0.5%. On those figures, the gold board earned in the region of 1 billion cedis in fees from this program. He also tells us the gold board posted an operational surplus of some 907 million cedis. The plain implication of his own numbers is that the operational surplus he is celebrating is smaller than the fee income he collected from a program that lost the 22 billion Ghana cedis. Strip out the agency fees and there's no operational surplus to speak of. That is the point he does not address, and it is the point he must now address. Third, he cannot claim the upside and disown the downside. The same statement credits the scaling up of the DGPP with a 41% cedi appreciation, the rise in reserves from $8.9 billion to $13 billion, and the fall in inflation and the gold board. And the fall in inflation. And the gold board has been foremost in taking public credit for those outcomes. An institution that claims authorship of the benefits cannot describe itself as a passive agent when the costs are counted. Fourth, the funding position keeps shifting. By the chief executive's own account, responsibility for GANRAP implementation costs moved from the Bank of Ghana to the Ministry of Finance in July 2026, and from August 2026, the Gold Board is seeking to raise funds independently. 3 funding arrangements in 6 months is not a settled model. We view this with curious eyes. The 22 billion Ghana cedi losses, as reported by the IMF 6th country report numbered 26/213 issued in August 2026, amount to a financial loss to the Republic. It must be accounted for. Finally, a word on tone. The chief executive's reference to a brothel does not belong in a statement issued by a public officer accounting for public funds. Ghanaians asked for figures, they were given insults. The figures are still outstanding. Now, this is signed Osahin Alexander Kwamina Fengo Marking Esquire, Minority Leader. I come back in studio where I've got Patrice and Codjoe still with me. But let me also introduce into the conversation, and he will be staying with us for deeper conversations about a separate matter. A very good morning. Going out, bear with me very quickly.
Yeah. Well, whilst you do that, I think the statement issued by the minority is their right. They reserve it.
Let me say good morning to George Wellington Ituahene, Managing Director, Auto Parts Wholesale Limited. And I will get your bite on this. I know we're here for talk about cars, but of course, you know, as a fellow Ghanaian, I know you'll also have your bite. Patrice, you said the statement is they are right.
You see, I take it with a pinch of salt. I still stand by it. So now they are saying that whether it is Gold Board or Bank of Ghana, it still sits in the book of a state institution. Are you now shifting goalposts? You blamed Gold Board for losses. Now it has been proven to you based on facts from Gold Board, the Auditor General, and then IMF that it is not Gold Board's losses. Now you are saying that, okay, much as you're saying it's not Gold Board, it's still a state institution. Look, let's be tacit and straightforward when it comes to matters of the state. We want the country to develop. So anything that is going to make the country develop, we need to focus on. Allow Sami Jemfi to operate. And I say again, I am not saying don't critique the work. Criticize is something that we have to do minimally when it comes to something that we believe is supposed to carry the nation on a certain pedestal. The statement that was written by Appiah Marking, what does it seek to achieve?
Well, Patrice, even the question is, how did we get here for Gold Board to have to support enormously for Ghana's economy to get back on its feet to a certain extent? How did we even get here? So I think the conversation they've been missing is the how we even got here in the first place. And no one is asking them to shut up In fact, like we've always emphasized, even a minority of one must speak. But when the minority speaks, they should remember that they are the guardrail of the republic.
Some way, somehow.
They are the guard. They are. We cannot take it away. They are the guardrail of the republic.
What they are doing.
No, I'm not speaking. I'm not speaking in the context of MPP. I'm speaking in the context of a minority. What a minority is supposed to stand for, what they represent. You know, they are supposed to be the guardrails of government. Because imagine a country without or a democracy without an opposition. That would be.
Now, are they calling for a committee to be set up?
So they're asking that an ad hoc committee be set up to probe this 22. I'm excused.
To set up a committee on facts and figures that we are all seeing so clearly. You are trying to bastardize Sammy Jemfi just because I think it is a personality kind of issue. If you read the last statement, they said, finally, a word on tone. You get it? So this is where it's going to come. When you poke somebody too many times unnecessarily, some certain things would come out of the person. I am not justifying what Sammy Jemfi said. Neither am I justifying what the
you know how we say it in Fanti.
To it.
If you keep water in a bottle for too long, it starts to smell badly. So, I mean, there's been too many attacks on Sammy Jemfi.
No, I think we are too wrong on this. We are too wrong. Estates must move on. You remember when the free SHS came up? It was started. Allow it to work and let's see how it's going to work to the end. Don't be cutting back. Don't be crisscrossing. Don't be distorting things. Otherwise, what it means is that it is business as usual for the so-called politician. They don't wish you the Ghanaian well.
But
all we need is that people to see us talking.
Patrice, you know the funny thing? There's a deputy at Gold Board that nobody ever mentions. They always criticize Sammy Jemfi.
Yes.
But you will be surprised that this guy is a well-accomplished businessman, understands commerce, has been in the system for a very long time, has managed blue-chip companies. I am one of the beneficiaries of his management.
That's Richard Nunekweku.
And I'm speaking of Richard Nunekweku.
Yeah. Okay.
And, you know, every time I hear... He's a deputy. Every time I hear people speak about Gold Board, I'm like, even when there are allegations I have to probe, the first thing that comes to mind is, will Richard Nunekweku supervise this nonsense?
No, never.
Look, I wish you knew the guy.
Oh, really?
I wish you knew the guy, but not to say, I mean, he is blameless, or not to say Gold Board is blameless, but we need to appreciate that Sammy Jemfi represents an institution. We shouldn't single him out of the institution and bastardize him. He represents an entire institution. He's not the only... Sammy Jemfi is not the receptionist. He's not the clerk. He's not the finance director. He's not all of those things in one. He is the CEO. So it means there's an ecosystem within the company that functions.
With leadership.
Yes.
Exactly.
Yes. But you see, when all back stops with him, their conversation must remain meaningful. It must be grounded in facts.
Now talking about meaningful and facts, now we see this rebuttal in the form of this statement that has been issued. Is there anything that jumps out to you? Because this morning you furnished us with some 5 questions you think should have been interrogated or should have been the foundation of that press conference, which would have changed the conversation entirely, because as Ghanaians, we're all concerned when even one city of our money goes astray. And
we?
We must be.
What did you know? I was going to ask if we were.
I mean, we must be. Is there anything in the statement here that you think has some merit now? Because we see that, there is a change of direction, if you will. Initially, the whole focus was on that Gold Board has made losses, but if you look at let's say, look at that.
Yeah, the second one, they are claiming strip out the agency fees.
But Patrice, you should also understand political strategy.
Okay.
You see, this is a micro minority. And it's factual. I'm not speaking out of...
I know. I get
it's a micro minority.
Yeah.
And Afenyo's role is a very difficult one.
So you must cancel everything.
Sometimes.
Codjoe, let me
sometimes
let
you
me
must
slide
be
tackle you.
disruptive.
Let me slide tackle you a little bit. You say micro minority, but we call it, we're not calling it mega majority, micro minority. Yeah. Let's stick with the lingo, minority and majority. How about that?
Oh, I prefer micro minority. I prefer micro minority.
Today we'll stick with minority.
Elephantiasis majority.
See, in other jurisdictions, you'd call them developmental partners, because essentially that's what they should be doing. That's a function.
But that's not what they are doing. The statement Appiah Makin has put out there has exposed them the more. Because what you're doing is that now you're trying to justify what you said. Okay, you are saying this, but
Patrice, you'll be surprised he's having the last laugh, because
yes,
you will be surprised Afenyo is having the last laugh, because we are talking about him. Yes. We are talking about the fact that
let me ask Mawuena
they may not be wasting our time. They may be disrupting aggressively.
Extensive conversations yesterday, and we had extensive conversations when we sought to break down exactly what the report had to say. So we talked about the 3 different reasons for which this loss, we're told, occurred. Exchange rate losses accounting for the biggest share. Assay fees, service and assay fees, off-taker discounts.
Yes.
Now, you juxtapose that against what the minority has rebutted with. Is there anything that you see that we should, harp on? Have they struck gold with that rebuttal? What do you see, and what do you pick from that rebuttal statement?
Having read it, there are a few points that you can argue sticks out. But again, I will go back to the point I made earlier, that this has been reduced to politics.
But it is politics, man.
And you see, everything is politics, and I agree with you, Kay. But in doing politics, we are failing to ask certain critical questions.
Yes.
Some of which you've asked this morning.
Yes.
Right? And some of which I'm going to share by Fred Janku, who is with the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research at the University of Ghana, says that we should be asking, was the program economically worthwhile? Was it implemented efficiently? Right? And I'm going to pick another point from Echo Vincent Asifua, who's a member of parliament for Old Tafo, yesterday. I think the point he made when he was in that conversation with Kemeni should have been the starting point for it all, in my view, in terms of the minorities' position. He says that, yes, the program made a loss of $500 million in 2024. That is why we lost. And that is why you came in to come and better it.
Yes.
You should not use the same model and make a further loss. That is where the conversation is. And yesterday, listening to Sami Jemfi, the admission is that the model which has existed since, was it 2021 when the program started, is a program that will result in a loss from the get-go. Because when you go out and you're buying the gold, you're buying at spot price, there's an exchange rate differential already.
Yes.
So from the get-go, when you are going to do gold reserve accumulation, you are staring at a loss, because the price you're buying the gold from the persons who are bringing it, the exchange rates with you use, and that which the BOG will use subsequently to take it off you, is different.
Yes.
So on the get-go, the model will result in an exchange rates. Debt was some part of our debt build-up. Over 100 billion cedis was stripped off as a result of the performance of the currency and the program which was undertaken. So those are conversations we can have. But going forward, we must ask ourselves, can we do this without seeing a 22 billion cedis hole? Because the model as we've had it from the get-go will result in a problem. How do we make sure that going forward we can still do this magic and bring in that amount of forex and not see 22 billion cedis as a loss?
Now, Mawuena, you mentioned the Old Tafo MP. Let's take a quick listen to what he had to say with that interaction with Kemeni. Listen up.
Are we still at the point where we will not distinguish the domestic gold purchase program from the operations of Gold Board, because again, it brings to the fore, at the time the NPP was in office, it had the Gold for Reserve program or the scheme.
My dear, don't be a problem for this country.
Oh, how is that?
Don't be a problem for this country.
You didn't let me finish my point. You're assuming I'll be a problem.
But this comparison should stop.
Okay.
The IMF has done a fifth review, has done a sixth review. Okay? In fact, even in the sixth review, what the IMF is saying with respect to smuggling from 2019 to 2023, with the IMF, based on information that is available to them, was not able to tell us the amount of smuggling that has been done in 2025. With that comparison that they did with the UAE, that has not been enshrined yet. Why are you not interested in finding out the exact amount of money that this country have lost as far as smuggling is concerned in 2025? Why are you not interested with the Gold Board giving you the information as to how much of exportation has been made as far as the state is concerned, so that you can do proper comparison with the other countries that they did? With respect to what they gave to the IMF, for the IMF to compare from 2019 to 2023 or 2024. Why are you doing that comparison? There has been an established fact. I
understand the questions you're raising, but the comparisons are important because this is a continuum. We want to understand what happened before and whether or not, as we are being told, this is a smear campaign. If there are germane questions, because this may not have happened before, those questions will be answered. Now, my question, you didn't wait to hear my question.
He himself has admitted, finally, that indeed there has been a loss of $1.7 billion. Finally, why are you not interested in finding out the opportunity cost of that $1.7 billion to Ghanaians?
We're going to do that after this break. But I was hoping you'd compare with 2024, just before they came into office, when we are also told that about the $400 million loss, whether or not...
You want to compare $400 million loss with $1.7 billion? Is that what you're trying to say? Attention, that at least for once, the CEO of Gold Board has agreed that there has been a loss that has been occasioned by the trading of our gold in this country. For once, the Bank of Ghana has also agreed as far as the economy committee is concerned, because when they came to the economy committee, I was one of the people who actually asked the Bank of Ghana governor that has there been any losses or whatsoever, which they confirmed that indeed there has been losses, except to add that they claim, that the governor claimed that these are transactional losses. Motion as per Article 204, Article 214, 212, 202 of the 1992 Constitution, for there to be a probe as to how our gold for reserve has been managed, as to how these losses were occasioned, for us to even be sure whether indeed the $1.7 billion is less or more.
Vincent Echo Asefo, he's the Member of Parliament for Old Tafo, in an interaction there with my colleague Kemini, where she was drawing parallels between what happened in 2024 and now. And as Mawuena says, this is an existing model which is continuing. You heard there for yourself what the response is. Patrice, you wanted to come in before that break. Talk to me.
I think there's a drift and a shift from what the key point has to be in this discussion. And politicians or people put in political office ought not sway us from doing what is right or asking what is right. We're here trying to put dirty oil on Sami Jemfi because he's the head of Gold Board, or for hating him one way or the other. Let us put that language aside. Have there been losses since 2022? Yes, we've had losses since 2022 per the records. Why is opposition not asking us to get into finding out why we've had losses since 2022 and who must be punished for all those losses? If there's been losses all the way till even 2025, whoever is responsible for the losses, why are they not saying that we need to account for the losses? Why is everybody running away from it by just saying that finally Sami Jemfi has agreed or accepted that there are losses? We have all known that there's been losses. But Gold Board is saying that it is not our loss, it is Bank of Ghana. And I am saying, minority, come back to us and love the Ghanaians that you so claim you love them. Tell us from 2022, 23, 24, 25, all the losses. Who is responsible? Who must be held accountable? And tell us that you are ready to put your foot forward, to put yourself forward for accountability for the losses from 2022 all the way to 2025. Let us see people being punished and jailed for all these acts. And then we'll come back and say, Sami Jemfi, what you're doing is wrong. I am not comfortable with such things, and I'm not being emotional about it. It's based on principle. A state must move on. We should not let certain elements, I don't want to mention their names, we should not let certain elements bring us down to this crap relationship where, or crap phenomenon, where when NDC is in power, MPP have to do anything at all to pull them down. When MPP in power, NDC would have to do anything at all, everything to pull them down. It is the Ghanaian that suffers. So if NPP wants any accountability at the gold board, they should let us start from 2022. Appiah should write a statement and clearly say that in 2022, this person was the one in charge. We lost 1.7 billion. In 2023, we lost 20 billion. Let us bring all those people to book. Let us bring them all to Parliament or take them to the Public Accounts Committee. Let us stop joking. I think the jokes have become too many. Kay has said it, when you are, and you also affirmed it, when you are in Parliament, your responsibility is that you put some kind of reins over the person who is in charge.
Absolutely.
So when you are giving that part, don't come and joke with Ghanaians battling figures going up and down, trying to no.
Because it's an enormous responsibility keeping government on its toes.
Heavily for losses at the gold board establishment since 2022. So come and tell us who is supposed to be held responsible and stop these press conferences. They mean nothing.
Time check, it is some 12 minutes to the top of the hour, 9 a.m. We were also looking to engage Professors Turkson and Bobkin, but we won't be able to do so today. But we can put a pin in it. Let me also again reintroduce my guest in the studio. George Wellington Ituahene is the Managing Director, Auto Parts Wholesale Limited. George, good morning. Hope you're doing well.
Very well, thank you. Good morning to your listeners.
I want to give you just a minute bite on this as a fellow Ghanaian, get your thoughts on it. And then we're going to talk about something that a lot of us are very keen on this morning, Ghana's 15-year vehicle import restriction. We'll talk about that. George, your thoughts on this issue? Your money is lost. Your 22 billion cedis is lost. How do you feel about that?
Coming from the guys who seize the pensioners' money. I feel if you have to criticize, it has to be fair. If you have to criticize, it has to be fair before it will stick. And I think at this point, Ghanaians can see through a lot of dust that they are just going after the person. And the Gold Board as an institution, obviously, it won't be only negatives. They've had some positive sides. So if you want to criticize, why don't you offer solutions? And then you've been there before. You guys were at the helm of affairs, and so you've experienced what the situation was. So what can you do to make it better? You just don't criticize the person and make it look like he's the worst person alive. Meanwhile, you guys were there. If you could do it, why didn't you do it? You understand? So and I think with Appiah in particular, I think he likes the fact that the thing is always about himself, and that's what the traction he's getting now. Everybody is talking about him, and then it becomes a banter between Appiah and Sami Jemfi, and then he stays relevant. I think it will be better going forward with the NPP if they speak to the issues and not attack people's personality, because I think we are better than that as a country. That's what
Do you not believe that because of the numbers that we see now in the minority, he has an enormous task of letting their voice be heard? So some of that boisterousness we see is in a bid to, stamp some kind of authority. It wasn't an easy defeat that was suffered in 2024. And when you're down to such numbers, maybe the flip side is that you have to have a bit more bravado than average.
When Bawumia was running to become the vice president with Nana Akufo-Addo, every point when he would criticize, he would offer you an alternative solution, and Ghanaians could see through it. You criticize. What is it you think they can do better? Let us know. And as a country, if Gold Board loses, the whole Ghana loses. You understand? So if there's something you can do, are you sitting down for the country as a whole to collapse and not tell us what to do only because you are not at the helm of affairs? I don't think they have anything to offer now. If you are criticizing, it has to be a very good criticism, and it has to be fair to be able to stick. If not, even when you have something proper to criticize about, people won't believe you.
So the boy who cried wolf syndrome, you've made so many allegations. When it's actually time for us to sit up and pay attention, we'll have fatigue because we've experienced maybe 65,000 press conferences.
You talk too much.
George, thank you for that perspective. All right, let's talk about something else now. And we're talking about a change that's going to be happening from October 1, 2026. Ghana will prohibit the importation of used vehicles that are more than 15 years old, as well as certain unsafe and damaged vehicles. The categories include flood-submerged vehicles, fire-damaged vehicles, vehicles with cracked, bent, or twisted chassis, safety cages, vehicles assembled from spare parts, vehicles without speedometers displaying kilometers per hour, and vehicles over 15 years old. But more importantly, the Ghana Standards Authority says it's not a blanket ban on used cars. It's an enforcement of existing vehicle standards, with the major change being that compliance will have to be established before the vehicle is shipped to Ghana. Now, this policy, many of you say, sounds sensible on paper. Why should Ghana be the dumping ground for cars that are unsafe, flood damaged, or structurally compromised? Today, we want to delve a bit deeper and ask who ultimately pays for this. If importers now have to inspect vehicles abroad, obtain a certificate of conformity, their costs are likely to rise. The pool of cars available to Ghanaian buyers could also shrink. These costs can ultimately or may ultimately be passed on to consumers. And Ghana is a market where affordability matters enormously. A person who cannot afford a relatively new car isn't necessarily buying an old car because they want a dangerous car. They simply want to buy a car that they can afford. We had this discussion briefly a couple of days ago. Was it this week, gentlemen, where Codjoe, you were drawing the parallels? Is it unsafe simply because it is 15 years old? We have vehicles that are not even, that could be older, that perform better than newer cars. A 15-year-old, let's say maybe, for example, Toyota that has been properly maintained could arguably be much safer than a much newer vehicle that has been badly repaired after a major accident. I think our strongest discussion this morning should be, should Ghana ban old cars? George, I want to get your thoughts on this. Set us off.
I want Kay to go first.
Oh.
Yes.
All right. Okay, so do us the honors. Yes, we can also get the fact-checking right.
Yes. So on the ledger of facts, the claim is that 15-year cutoff, used vehicles 15 years and older are due to be excluded from 1st October 2026 under the current framework. And the date check is correct. GSA says enforcement of national vehicle standards, and pre-shipment conformity begins on 1st October, like you rightfully said. And then we did a law check. We see Act 1014 created an over 10-year prohibition architecture, but commencement depended on a legislative instrument. Now, the missing link here is that no legislative instrument has been identified, no specific LI reconciling the law's 10-year design with the current 15-year rule was identified in the reviewed sources during our fact check. And we look at the safety wins, the damage bans. I mean, it's a strong case exists for objective bans on flood damaged, fire damaged, and structurally compromised vehicles. And then we looked at the roadworthiness test as well, where it boldly says age is a proxy. I mean, a birthday is not a brake test. Age alone does not measure tires, crash history, structural integrity, or maintenance. And then we looked at the policy route, the industrial lineage. The restriction also grows out of automotive industrial policy and local assembly incentives, not safety alone. And the compliance system, the PVOC, pre-export conformity, make certification before shipment compulsory. Vehicles need a valid COC before import. And then the transparency gap, where fees are unclear, inspector roster, beneficial ownership, contracts and full fee schedules should be public before enforcement. And then the customs impact, revenue unknown, no public age banded GRA data set was identified, showing how many over 15-year imports enter Ghana or what tax they generate. The price effect, affordability risk, restricting cheaper stock can push up acquisition costs for household, SMEs, drivers, and transport operators, which I think is a key concern. And then the paradox here is older fleet may stay if buyers cannot afford replacements. Existing 20 to 30-year vehicles may stay on the road longer. Now, the job test, net, not gross. Assembly jobs matter, but so do dealers, mechanics, parts sellers, clearing agents, and transport workers. So as much as we want to implement this agenda as a country championed by GSA, there would be some assembly jobs created as a result of these changes, but there are others who would also be losing, work, like we've rightfully mentioned there. And there's also smart tech, VEDIS. An integrated VIN and history checks could help catch stolen, cloned, and unsafe vehicles if data safeguards are sound. I've always wondered why we wait and allow the car to get into Ghana. Then we have Interpol all over the place chasing after the cars. I mean, what checks do we have in place at the port? That should help us safeguard our operational integrity. Due process also, no COC, no entry. Without a fast appeal, retest, or re-export system, disputes could trigger severe losses, storage costs, and demurrage. And then the verdict is a split decision, which says keep the strongest safety reforms, publish the laws, fees and appeals. If unresolved, defer only the age-only exclusion. The hard conclusion here is that it's important we retain pre-export checks and objective damage prohibitions, but the 15-year cut-off must pass a legality, transparency, and readiness test before 1st October. Imani has actually commented on the issue. We authored an editorial yesterday in that regard, championed by Franklin Codjoe. It's a growing concern. Yesterday, we were also in touch with VADUC. They are the association responsible for vehicle dealers, parts, spare parts, maintenance, and all that. We had a conversation with their President General, and he did share that the association has been in contact with GSA, so GSA deserves the credit. They did not just wake up to do this. They engaged VADUC, and during the engagement, some of these issues came up, and they are hoping that within the shortest possible time, it would make meaningful sense.
Certainly.
So that is it for my initial take on the subject matter. But I also think one thing we've not paid attention to, we are regulating danger and managing safety. But the safety and the danger concerns that has been propounded by Ghana Standards Authority even raises more serious questions. Like last week when you brought up the conversation, I think I shared the same opinion that if we're looking at the safety and integrity, the integrity of these vehicles and the safety of, passengers or drivers who use the vehicle, then we should be concerned about our transportation system as a country.
That's right.
Because if you look at our trotros and our taxis, a lot of them are not roadworthy. And it brings to mind the speculation, the many speculation. I haven't experienced it before, but I know people who tell me, hey, you know, you can just, if you know a Goro boy somewhere in DVLA, your car doesn't even need to go there. You know, you'll be checked in. Because have you ever wondered how those long space buses in Amegashie, pass the roadworthiness test? You know, these cars are... during the rainy season, we saw people soaked.
That's right.
In rain, in trotros. Some were actually even holding bowls and buckets, trying to collect water so they are not stained. In trotros, in moving trotros. And you're wondering, like, how did these vehicles pass our roadworthiness test? Aside that, there's a lot of advocacy on climate change, reducing our carbon footprints, carbon emissions, and so on and so forth. We have not taken that into consideration as well, that we do have existing vehicles on our roads that don't meet the test, even in terms of emissions, because, you know, it is what it is. And I'm sure our listeners are witness to what I'm saying, because these are things we experience daily on a regular basis as Ghanaians.
Absolutely. Now, speaking of our listeners, let me plug our WhatsApp number so that you too can be a part of the conversation. We want it to be very interactive this morning. Share your thoughts with us. 053 22 00 927. That's our WhatsApp number. So simply shoot us a message and we'll read it out. Do add your name and where you're writing to us from. 053 22 00 927. And Codjoe, I also spotted the news item from Imani Africa. Take a look if you're watching on Facebook of how passengers had to collect rainwater just to prevent themselves from taking on their way to work or wherever it is they were commuting to. You've got pans, buckets, in fact, plastic chairs being used to collect rainwater. You know, lest you end up like the gentleman you're seeing here, soaked. After taking your bath, you take a second one in the car. But these are vehicles that are very much on the road and are functioning. George, over to you.
There's a lot that's going on. And I feel the Ghanaian consumer is one who's always suffering. If you would want to blanket ban, you have to support it with data that these cars that are in our system that are within this particular age range, there's a lot of emissions, this and this and this and that. I'll tell you that even brand new cars that come into this country, emission-wise, are bad than 15-year-old cars that are being imported into the country. Because what is our emission standard in the country? We don't have any. Because the Land Cruisers that are imported into this country, which are diesel-propelled Land Cruisers, that throw a lot of emissions in the country, the ones that directly come into this country do not have diesel particulate filters. And diesel particulate filters are supposed to be in there to be able to hold the diesel, to be able to hold the emissions. And when you're on the highway, the car sees that you are doing about maybe 80 to about 100 mph, and then it opens it up freeway, and then it just pours inside the bush and then doesn't pollute where people live. But the cars that come in here don't have these systems. So if they are talking about even emissions, are you telling me that a 2020 car without a DPF and a 2010 car with a DPF, the 2020 car without a DPF is better emission-wise than the 2010 car? No. So they don't have any facts. It's just a blanket ban to be able to position the market in such a way that it will be attractive for some people. But let's not Ghanaians be fooled, because these cars that are coming into the country that are so cheap that people feel they can afford to buy, it can also be a new market entry strategy, where you lower your prices, people accept it, and then now it's expensive, or you raise the price. It happens all the time. Now, there's a lot that we have to look at. A car like a common car in the Ghanaian market, a 2010 Toyota Corolla. Yeah. The engine has been running from 2008 and is still running. So are you telling me that if somebody bought his Corolla in 2010, and in Ghana the distances are not a lot, especially if the person lives in Accra where there's a lot of our cars.
Right.
Some people can drive for 10 years and don't put even 50,000 miles on their car. Are you telling me that this person who has the 2010 Corolla, who has put just about 50,000 or 70,000 kilometers on the car, and someone who has a 2022 Corolla, who has put 100,000 miles on the car, because his body is new, his car is better than mine?
In fact, Imani succinctly captures it in that write-up. It says, the central question is simple. If a 16-year-old vehicle is roadworthy, properly maintained, and emissions compliant, why should it be rejected while a younger but poorly maintained vehicle may still qualify?
That's the issue. And these parts, emission system parts, they are parts that you can change over time. It doesn't matter how old the car is. Even if the car is 20 years and your catalytic converter is not in good shape, you can change it, you can replace it. So enforcement and roadworthiness is the issue here. It's not about how new the car is, if the car is not being it's not being maintained very well. You understand? And as of the time that law was being proposed, which was I think about 2010, I'm not too sure, I stand to be corrected. They're looking back at cars from the 90s. Where was technology then? And look at technology now. In the 90s, was there low ash engine oils? No. Now there's low ash engine oils. When you go out there, Total, Shell, ourselves, everybody sells these products. The question is, are the consumers getting value for what they are being sold? A clear example is people being baited and being switched on. Bait and switch. Trotro engine oil. What is Trotro engine oil? What is taxi engine oil? That is you misleading a taxi driver. Example is, I have a Toyota Corolla. It's supposed to run on a good synthetic 0W20 engine oil. I decide that, okay, I have another car, so I want to use it for an Uber or a Trotro or a taxi. Then you hear a huge multinational company advertising that they've done some engine oil and it is good for your Trotro, whatever it is. Only for you to start buying this engine oil into your car. And after about a year or two, it starts to smoke. Because when you look at the product that is being offered to the car, it is not by specification. And you look at the spec and you see that the engine oil that is being sold to the car is obsolete. Appiah SF engine oils are supposed to be pre-1988 engine oils. And you see it being advertised. What is the GSA doing about these things? Because what you advertise is not what you are selling to the person. You are misleading the person. So this blanket ban must truly be investigated. We have to look into it. Another issue is, look at all these cars that are coming in the supply chain. Used car parts, repairs. How long does it take for a brand new car to break down for that mechanic or repairer to be able to get a job? You understand? And in Ghana, is only where you hear a car dealership telling a car buyer that if you service the car anywhere apart from where you bought it, you don't have warranty. In America, there's a law called the Magnuson-Moss Warranty Act law. You are free not to give warranty. So you tell the customer or the consumer, you are buying this product, no warranty. But if you decide to give the consumer warranty, you shall not dare tell the consumer that if you don't buy product A, B, or C from me, you won't have warranty. Example is, if I'm a car dealer, let me just use an example, maybe Toyota Ghana or CFA or whatever. You go to buy a car from them, and they are probably buying engine oils from Total to service your car. But of course, they are in a profit-making business, so they will mark up. So you go to buy the product in my owner's manual to service the car there and charge me a certain amount of money. But when I go to the supplier, which is maybe Total or Shell or myself, which brings the price down for me, you say, no, you didn't buy that Total from me to put it in your car. You bought it yourself and put it in your car. So I'm going to deny you warranty. How is this fair? So all of these things are supposed to be looked into to protect the Ghanaian consumer. It's as if every time the state is going after its own people, you raise the issue of stolen vehicles and all that. Yeah. My mom lives in Asante Bekwai. If she wants to buy a car on the open market, and that car, customs is supposed to be preventive tool to prevent the Ghanaian citizen from being scammed or bad products from being exposed onto the Ghanaian market. And so if customs with all its apparatus and its resources is not able to identify a stolen car, how would my mom in Asante Bekwai be able to tell a car is stolen when they go onto the Ghanaian market to go and buy? Then you come and seize the car. After seizing the car, duty was probably paid on the car because the person was going to enjoy the benefits of the product.
Part of the loot.
You understand? To enjoy the product. After you seize the car and you've returned the car to whoever the car was stolen from, which is fair game, the car was stolen, so it has to go back. What about the tax that they paid on the car? That one too, then you keep it.
It's gone.
Then you come and sit on radio and then you say that when you are buying a car, go to Carfax and check. Carfax is geo-locked. You can't open Carfax online in Ghana. Even when you have used a VPN to be able to bypass it.
Right.
They don't accept Ghanaian cards. So the Ghanaian consumer is always being treated so bad. Roadworthiness. When did you ever hear that there has been a police press conference doing a post-accident investigation that there was a major accident on the highway, 30 people died, and this is the post-accident investigation, and we found out that the brakes were not well maintained? Every time he was overspeeding. Are cars not meant to be used and speeding? Speed alone doesn't cause accident. What is our roadworthy money for? Is it so that you always just take the money and you don't even maintain the road? Even where you are going to pay the roadworthy at DVLA, the road is not good.
And that in of itself is another huge component of this conversation. In fact, we had that conversation, gentlemen, talking about if the concern so much is safety, to the point that some of these points that George is raising don't seem to feature, then we should also be adding the roads and all of that. I want to know why 15 years though? Why that magic number? Is there something that indicates that after 15 years?
At first they said 10.
And then they changed the goalpost.
So why 15? Why is 15 the magic number?
Per their investigations, 60% of accidents that occur on our roads include cars that are from 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
So based on that, they believe that they have to deal with the 15 years. They also believe that cars that are like 18 years old and all, 10 to 18 years, consume a lot more fuel, 30 to 40% of fuel consumption. That is their argument also. So they believe that the more these cars consume fuel, the more burden it puts on our foreign exchange. And also car parts. They believe that the importation of such car parts for cars that are 10 to 15 years old are more expensive than the current ones. So that also means that we are delving too much into our foreign base. So for them, theirs is accident, safety. For safety purposes, they realize that brakes and even the catalytic converter, they are claiming that cars that are from 10 to 15 years may either not have them or they may go faulty, that they cannot deal with. So it's accidents and then safety and then fuel consumption plus foreign exchange.
All right.
So that's the basis.
Time check, it is some 60 minutes past the hour of 9. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. We're having a very interesting conversation about this 15-year proposed car ban.
But on the flip side, we stand to lose a lot of money if we decide to go this route.
Keep that thought for me, Patrice.
Right.
We'll go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll talk about how this actually potentially affects you and I's pockets. And what that means for all of us, why you should be interested. This is still 3FM Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. is a conversation that you all are very interested in. It affects your pocket. So please send us a message 053 2200927 on WhatsApp. I see your messages coming through. We'll read all of them out before we leave today. But this one here says, good morning. I think too much of the accidents on our roads do not happen as a result of older vehicles. It goes beyond that. Our roads are bad. There is too much speeding. Drivers take drugs. That's a very big issue also that we need to talk about. Drugs.
Yeah, that data they shared.
And it does it have legs?
No,
too much drugs. It's true.
No?
No, she's asking about that data. Is
it
if it's authentic?
That drivers take too much drugs?
No, are you talking about the drugs?
The drugs, yes. This message here says that the accidents are caused by speeding, also drug intake of drivers.
Yes, and alcoholism.
Alcohol is a drug.
Okay. And it says stakeholders should wake up and find a lasting solution to the problem. It's Juliet. Juliet, how are you? Juliet from Inside Castle. I know you're all listening. Big up yourselves. Okay, so adding to that conversation, and I think, George, what you said is that do we go beyond this issue of old cars and speeding to really interrogate why we see so many road crashes, these days?
So every component or every part on a car can be replaced. So you can't say that because a car is 20 years old, it's no good. That is why the parts are to be replaced. I'll come back to your issue. I wanted to address that issue of they claiming that the older the car gets, the more fuel it consumes. It's not true.
Really?
Yes, fuel economy is such that the parameters are set inside the vehicle for you to meet it. Servicing the car well, using the right lubricants to service the car. Because anything that holds the car back impedes the movement of the car. So if you are supposed to run on a 0W20 engine oil and you are doing a 5W40, certainly there's more friction inside the car. So it holds the car back a little bit. So if you have to get to Tema, all other things being equal, if the roads were not bad, and you have to get to Tema in maybe 20 minutes, but it takes you 25 minutes because your car is not moving as fast as it's supposed to. The 5 extra minutes, you are burning fuel. And who is doing those things? Someone is at the filling station misleading the buyer with buy the throttle engine oil and then buy the taxi engine oil. The second point you raised was...
they talked about a catalytic converter that some of the cars don't have.
The catalytic converter. From about 1995, there has been 2-way, 3-way catalytic converters. Technology has advanced. If you are talking about 15 years from now, that's about 2010. There's diesel particulate filters. There's gasoline particulate filters. And I explained earlier, it's like a human being. You don't go about pulling about. So the car is built now more or less like a human being. You store it. When you feel it is full, you dump it at where it's supposed to be dumped. So technology has advanced. As of that time that these LIs were there, we didn't have all these things. It was a good law then. It can be reviewed. Catalytic converter. Is the whole body of a car a catalytic converter?
No. So
it's just one
exhaust
component
area
that can be replaced. So to the issue of roadworthiness, roadworthiness is not supposed to, the DVLA is not supposed to probably even, if they are talking about emissions, they're not supposed to sit for a year to say your roadworthy sticker says is expired. You can take roadworthy to the streets where you see some car broken down and you won't tow it. You would see a car smoking cha-cha-cha-cha-cha-cha, and you are allowing that car to go. And you are waiting that he should smoke us till the next year when he comes there. So there is a lot that we can do. And let me tell you, let me bring something in.
Right.
With this standard board issues and all that, they are complicit in so many things. Last year, they called us into a meeting. They have data, whatever data, they have that data. The data was, they collated the data and they invited battery importers which I went to the meeting. And they said they were going to clamp down on batteries that are coming into the system, which they know doesn't meet the quality. Why do you even have to call me into a meeting to tell me that? I pay you for testing.
Yeah.
So what certificate do you give me? Knowing that the product is not good, why do you allow it onto the market? And you are letting rich multinationals scam your own people. Because whoever you are sitting at the standard board, you have a brother, sister, uncle who buys from the open market.
That's right.
So why do you let these rich people milk the ordinary Ghanaian citizen? And it's not like they don't have the data. They have the data. They are selling products without websites, nothing. There was an issue, I told you about this issue, where a customer of mine bought fuel, which I mentioned, the fuel station's name.
Brand, okay.
So he buys the fuel, and the car breaks down after about 10 minutes of driving. So he calls us. We went there. We said he should report. NPA came in. They took the sample. They gave us a bottle of the sample, and then they called us into a meeting after 2 weeks or less, I guess. So we went. When we got there, they were already done with the test. So the guy started reading from the test that based on the test they did, it is not the fuel that the customer bought that damaged his engine. So I asked him that, can we have a copy of the document you are reading from, because it's purporting to be the results from the test, and the fuel is for us. We bought it.
You probably didn't even have to ask for it. Should have been given.
Should have given it to us. The guy told us that we can't have a copy of the test he had conducted on our own car.
Why?
And that is for internal deliberation only. Then I asked him that what was the methodology of the test? What were we looking to achieve from the test that we're doing? And which lab? We should all be privy to that. You understand?
Right.
But the question is, you have an industry player, an industry supervisor, who is also in the field. You have Goyle selling fuel.
Yeah.
How can MPA regulate them? Because if something happened, I'm not saying they've done anything. It's not even Goyle I'm talking about.
Right.
So no liability issues here. So I'm not even talking. I'm just citing an example that in case, as a Ghanaian citizen, I'm going to even buy something from Goyle and it didn't go well. Do you think that MP, like how Standard Board is able to name and shame some electrical cable sellers that these ones are no good, we shouldn't buy? Do you think NPA can do the same? So I'll leave it.
I've got a question here directed at yourself, George. This one is from Benjamin in East Legon. He wants to know, how easy is it for badly damaged vehicles to be repaired overseas and made to look perfectly fine before it reaches Ghana?
So the honest thing is that most of the cars that they buy from the auction, when it is structurally damaged, by law, you can't repair it in there. So it is not possible for you to be able to repair.
They crash it.
It's there. They will not allow you to do so. When you buy it, you are shipping it out of the country. You understand? And the cars have VIN numbers. So if the car gets, you even bought it and said you are a dismantler, so you come to dismantle it as parts, because probably dismantling it there is going to cost you more. And Ghana is a very price-sensitive market. It's going to let the price of the product eventually go up. So you're even buying it to come and dismantle it. And you don't do it. Customs have the VIN number of a car which was structurally damaged. And so it's supposed to be blocked in the registration system that this vehicle, structurally when it came in, it was damaged. He says he's going to use it as spare parts, so it cannot be registered. So there is more we can do than just this blanket ban that is going to take away business from people. We can't create jobs, but we are always disrupting the job market. How many jobs have they been able to create? So if you look at the cost-benefit analysis, how many jobs we are going to lose from this ban compared to whatever they are trying to create by talking about these vehicle assembly plants.
Over 500,000 people depend on this car business. So used car, the repair work, spraying, getting it on the road, maintenance and all those things, spare parts, repair and all those things. So over 500,000 Ghanaians.
Let me add to your 500,000 that losses across the used vehicle value chain. Ghana's passenger vehicle import market alone was worth about $758.2 million in 2024. Yes.
A dressed monkey is still a monkey. Why I say this is that we like the vehicle assembly plants. But even now, Germany is losing to the Chinese. We have to be careful the way we are going. If you dismantle a car and bring it here and come and put it together and get so much incentives, tax incentives from the government. After the car has been put together, the Ghanaian consumer can't afford it. But benefits of after, free trade, they move it to other African countries and sell it. The money is still repatriated back to wherever these cars came from.
So it's a lose-lose situation.
We're losing over $40 million US annually.
It's just that robbing Peter to pay Paul.
If we did that, we'll lose over $40 million US every year, even for the next 3 years. So after the next 3 years, you can imagine over $800 million is what we'll be losing.
This
Point
is big money.
You can face it. You can face it out. You don't ban it. You face it out.
Transition.
So exactly. So there are certain countries. In Tanzania, it is one country that Kenya also does it. Uganda does it. Nigeria, they allow everything. But the point is that there are certain key things that we don't consider in our country. A new car ought not be that expensive as an old one, because of things that we talk about, as in safety, emission, comfort, and ensuring that the people within the country that it's being imported into benefit from it.
Right.
You have not worked well on your transport system, such that when we take these cars out, over 80% of people in this country rely on public transport.
And yet.
Exactly. Yet you want to carry all these things out. So if you want to just ban them and take them out like that, 80%, where would they be sitting? Your transport system has not been properly fixed. You don't have trains running. You don't have buses running.
Well, you certainly don't have SkyTrain.
No alternatives.
Exactly. So I can't say, okay, I'm parking my car or I'm leaving my car, I'm joining the train or I'm joining the bus because it is time conscious. No. You've not done any, then you just want to go ahead and just this October, you want to start banning.
Just too short.
Let us look at the hand behind it. Let us look at read about all the companies that are assembling
and assembly concentration.
He mentioned China. That is what they're doing now. So look at, is there any company in this country that has started vigorous and aggressive assembling of cars such that we want to close out on these people? Mine is that, as George said earlier, when a car is coming into the country, assess the integrity of the car. Is it in good shape? If it's in good shape, why not?
And that goes beyond this 15-year
Yes, a 2024 car. I told you, a 2024 car. Some people that I know own certain places. 2024 car split into two. They did the front cutting and the back, they will cut and then come and join it.
Goodness gracious.
So those are things. So don't see the car saying that because it's 2022, 2025, it's a better car. No.
Okay.
There's a BMW that is sitting somewhere that one day we would have to drive into this yard and you see whether or whether.
Eric from Michelle Camp says, good morning, team. Good morning to you, Eric. He says, it will amaze you. It doesn't amaze us to know that some cars don't even appear at DVLA, yet roadworthy sticker will be given. Eric, we are not amazed at all. This happens every day. But wrapping up on the conversation, time check, it is some 24 minutes to the top of the hour. George, I'll have you give us the final word on this. Do you expect people to start rushing to import older vehicles before October 1st because of this transition period? Do you see that happening ahead of time?
Some people will do, but I think that like you said, there are some hands behind it. It's going to make it very monopolistic. And when it becomes monopolistic, the Ghanaian consumer is going to suffer. Let the market forces determine demand and supply. I'm not blind. If the Chinese car is good, or whichever car is good, I'll buy it. You understand? Who doesn't like brand new stuff? But for you to force me into a particular direction, we are adults and we are not kids. There's always something, there's a catch. And they'll say that the devil you know is better
and the angel you don't know.
The angel you don't know.
That devil, I will never.
We've been using these cars for pretty much a very long time. They should take their time. The transition period is even too short. Why the rush? 3 months. What about the people who have imported parts and their stock was going to take care of them for their needs for about 2 years or 1 year? What should they do with it?
In fact, that's something I hadn't even thought about. There's so many legs to this conversation, but this is all time will allow us. So finally, I know I said finally, government should change this, scrap it. What did you say, change or scrap?
I wanted to ask
more stakeholder consultation and then time for transition. Maybe 5 or 6 years. We know this is what you're going to do. People will plan.
Okay.
Yes, I wanted to ask a quick question from a friend who just sent a message that since you're the expert, he wants to understand what's our policy on electric vehicles, because now there's an influx on electric vehicles. If you could just touch on that really quick.
See, there is no policy on electric vehicles. Do you know why? With our electricity needs is not even sufficient. So even when these electrical cars come, it will become a problem because charging will become an issue. We don't have a policy. The lights don't even stay on. Didn't you see people complaining this morning that the lights were off again? And yesterday I heard Ghana saying they want to export light to Nigeria. In-house, the light can stay on. You want to export light to Nigeria. Everything is politics. If about 20% of the combustion engine cars are replaced by electric vehicles in Ghana, we'll have energy issues. Because then everybody is going to be charging their cars. So even that, there's no policy. Where are the charging stations?
Very few.
You will see places where the government will be able to make inroads with private individuals. We have this space, road reservation. Come in, let's develop it. Let's have charging stations. Let's create jobs for the people. It's like there's no plan.
All right, George, thank you so much for your time this morning. George Wellington Etiahene is the Managing Director, Auto Parts Wholesale Limited. Let's see what happens. October 1 is right around the corner.
But on behalf of Imani, I just want to be emphatically clear that as far as we are concerned, it's a blanket ban. It does not make any sense to ban 15-year-old vehicles in the name of regulation. We want them to show us the ally that allows them to even transition from the 10-year, which is even conditional. Even that is conditional. We want to understand where's the ally, where's the legislative instrument that allows the ban. Aside that, we want to be emphatically clear that it is not in the interest of Ghana, because the losses it brings will affect our economy largely. Because if it affects the ordinary person or the businessman, or it affects all of us. And it's important that before GSA looks at that aspect of this implementation, we're not saying the entire implementation is bad. We're talking about the 15-year-old vehicles, because who wants? No one in Imani supports. Bringing in flat vehicles, the cut and paste vehicles, and things like that. It's a death trap. But we are saying that if GSA wants to be up for it, if they want to be up to the task, they should start enforcing roadworthiness on our roads. We want to see better transportation systems, because if we say we're the Black Star of Africa, then our people deserve better.
Imani, we're grateful.
Let's say chop frog.
Have been discussing throughout the week. We're talking about tertiary institutions pricing students out of student accommodation. And yesterday we introduced the conversation towards the end of the show. Today we revisited. If you're watching us on our social media platforms, you see the visuals, but take a listen to what transpired very recently. Take a listen.
What is that? Who will be what is that? The battlefield is better than the grassroots exposes. No escape for anybody. Everybody will account for his stewardship, whether good or bad. What is that? Who will be what is that? The battlefield is better than the grassroots exposes. No escape for anybody. Everybody will account for his stewardship, whether good or bad, in our rental system or our rental issue here. This is not right, and this cannot continue. The battlehouse is even bigger than this. But the bathroom. Go to the back. That's the toilet over there. The toilet? Yes, this is the toilet. Commissioner is very bad. Commissioner, please don't go. This one there, they buff everybody. Commissioner, let's go.
All right, so if you were watching, you see some of the visuals. I'll try and describe what some of this accommodation looks like. Patrice, are you seeing what I'm seeing? We were looking at the Acting Rent Commissioner, Frederick Opoku, touring certain student accommodation and housing, and you juxtapose the price or the cost against what you are seeing is not so good. Patrice,
Our housing deficit is one key thing that we need to focus on. That's about 1.7 million. So there are about 1.7 million Ghanaians who do not have a place to lay their head. So housing deficits plays a very key role in this. Now, proper planning is also one thing that we do not have. So it falls in the hands of private people who have invested in their properties, and then you cannot regulate how much such people would charge going forward. We have categorized areas, zoned them out. So cantonments, Laboni, East Legon, Osu, Dansoman, some parts. So Dansoman category B, you go to, Tesano, Achimota, and all this. We have categorized the areas, but what we have not been able to do is that we have not been able to tell the people, because we haven't invested ourselves. Can you imagine if the government had invested a lot in the SNIT flats? So like flats, then you can say that nobody is supposed to rent a SNIT flat, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom, beyond this threshold.
So if you are even going beyond the students' issue, you are talking about housing in general.
Yes, so for the students, the point is that if somebody is establishing a university within a particular complex, did we factor in before giving them the accreditation where students will lay their head?
Okay.
So it comes back to the authority that gave the mandate for the university to set up over there, because we have known this way back from the University of Ghana and KNUST, when there was a lot of difficulty in students that had qualified to go to school, had to go outside campus to rent apartments. So we have known this. So what did we put in place to ensure that we are able to aggregate all these things for the students to have freedom of choice and not to walk out of the campus? Even on campus, some of the, hostels are quite expensive. And when you walk into the hostels in the campus, you ask yourself, who built it? Whose mind was it? Because the person is a student, this is what you have to give to them. So you are exposing them at that level of 18 years to 21 years, 24 years to a certain living condition.
I mean, look
that
at
limits
this.
their scope.
Where he's standing here is a
it's
washroom.
a bathroom, common bathroom, yes.
This is for both men.
Everybody would walk in there because you haven't made provision.
You have a serious exam to write that day. You enter this washroom,
the
you
students,
forget all their
But you see, this... When you see, sometimes when we have the conversations, I always come back to what the standard of living is, because this obviously is not a hostel facility. This is a private accommodation which the person has turned round into a hostel facility. They've just done moderations or alterations to the structure to give it off as a hostel. Standard. This is a compound house setting bathroom. I mean, let's not. I grew up in a compound house, so I know what I'm talking about. That's a compound house which has been turned into a hostel facility. It is not a hostel in the proper sense of the word, a hostel. What's happened? Leaning from what Patrice is saying, a university or a tertiary institution has gone up, right? A tertiary institution has gone up. The entire thinking has been, okay, let's put up the institution, and the adjoining facilities which will make it complete has not been thought of, right? And so even if we go back to the Legons, the KNUSTs, you'll ask yourself a simple question. As the university populations have grown, what has been the plan to grow infrastructure along with it? You realize that infrastructure has not grown to correspond with the growth in population. And it is symptomatic in every other thing. We've not grown with our roads, we've not grown with our health facilities, we've not grown with all other things. So it's symptomatic of a thinking problem. There's a deficit in thinking. That's why, you see,
there's hope.
Some of the things I don't like to, I won't say it on air, but I want to believe there can be better in terms of planning to correspond with growth.
Let's see if this better can be realized by the Hostel Owners Association of Ghana. I've got Bishop Dr. Akwesi Owusu on the phone lines, and he'll speak to us to this matter. Doc, hello, good morning.
Good morning, dear.
Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Hope you're doing well.
I'm doing great, yes, thank you.
Well, I'm also doing fantastic. You've come under the spotlight. We saw very recently the acting rent commissioner touring some hostel facilities used by students, and the conditions therein and the price being the topmost concern. What is your reaction to this?
Thank you for having me. The point is, this commissioner of the acting commissioner of rent, I personally invited him to come to Kumasi here for us to have a sort of discussions.
Okay.
Just to help him do what he has been assigned to do. What he told me, and this is a personal conversation, what he told me was that he doesn't have a budget to travel to Kumasi. And so, and the Kumasi road is so bad, if he has to come, he has to fly. And he doesn't move alone, he moves with a team. So there are about 5. We have to bear his plane ticket, his accommodation, his boarding, and things like that. So I told him, I think when the government sets up an office, the government attaches a budget to it. As I was explaining, he hung the phone on me. So he just missed the opportunity for us to get together to discuss things. Now, the hostel with the deplorable condition that he shows on television, I've made an inquiry, and I've been told it's somewhere in Koforidia.
I see.
And because of that one situation, of course, even if I had a child there, I would not be happy. So that's an exceptional case. There are other beautiful hostels around. Why is he not showing examples there? So it's a mentality of, let's give the dog a bad name and kill it. If he were prepared to work with us, he would have responded to my invitation. Again, he's talking about exorbitant prices, and that we who are operating the hostels, we are criminals, we are hard-hearted, and also unprintable words saying about us. Put that aside. If he wants people, the students, to pay money to him, so that if he comes to inspect the hostel and it's fit for purpose, it has all the facilities, then he will send the money to us. I don't think any right-thinking Ghanaian would accept what he's saying. And the prices he's saying, they are exorbitant. Now, in Kumasi here, to buy a plot of land, just one plot of land, to build a hostel, you may, one plot of land, you may have to pay between 2 to 3 million Ghana cedis.
For one plot of land, you say? You said about 2 to 3 million Ghana cedis just for one plot of land?
Just for one plot of land. Just for one plot of land. And you cannot buy, when we build on one plot of land, a hostel, a reasonable hostel. So you have to buy 2, the minimum, and 3, so calculate the amount of money that goes into it. And then calculate the cost of construction. The cost of construction, the cost of materials. Just recently, I think cement has come down, but some of the hostels were built 5-10 years ago. So you calculate the cost of building materials, and nobody has any control over those costs. And the cost of construction itself, the artisans and all those people. And then you put up a nice building, you put in all the facilities, and so you give it out, and somebody says, I want to have this room for 500 cedis.
So, Doc, would you say that the conversation we're having at the moment is short-sighted? Especially you talk about the cost of a plot of land and how expensive it is to build and maintain. Should we be expanding the conversation much further than what we're doing at the moment? Because at the moment, the conversation is that it's just too expensive for the students and they're being priced out of education. But if I understand you clearly, it's not cheap and it's not easy to run these facilities.
Yeah, this is why I had to start with the cost of construction, but let's put that aside.
Sure.
Now, the SRC itself has a hostel on campus here. Please do a check how much they charge for a bed. If I tell you, it's about 2 times what we outside the campus take. They are on the university campus. They don't pay for electricity, they don't pay for staff, they don't pay for a collection of refuse and things like that. Yet their charges are more than what we take. And the commissioner wouldn't go and or the students wouldn't put in checks on their own facilities. And then if an individual comes in, then it's expensive. If it could be cheaper, how is it that their own on campus is not running at cheap price?
Doc, these questions will definitely need to interrogate. Apologies, we've run out of time, but we've laid the foundation, and I hope that we can continue this conversation because there's a lot that needs to be interrogated. I think what we've seen on social media, on television, paints a different picture to what you say, but we're very grateful for your time, and let's schedule a part 2 so we can delve a bit deeper.
Thank you.
Thank you as well. And that was Bishop Dr. Akwesi Owusu, President of the Hostel Owners Association of Ghana. That's all time will allow us for now. It's some 3 minutes to the top of the hour, 10 a.m. Let's see if we have some birthday messages on the platform. Do we have any birthday messages? We'll give you a quick shout out and we'll make way for Christabel and the news at 10 a.m. If it is your birthday today, we're wishing you a fantastic one indeed. Any birthdays? Any birthdays? I don't believe so. We have some birthdays. All right, let's put that up on the screen. We have one birthday message. Okay. A very, very happy birthday going out to Lawyer Balfour Clinton. Cheers to greatness, favor, wisdom, knowledge, and understanding from God. May he keep and protect you. This one is coming from Justice. Looking very dapper indeed. This is a nice picture. Lawyer Clinton, happy birthday to you. But this is where we sign out today. 2 minutes to the top of the hour. My name is Helen Appiah Ampofo. On behalf of the rest of the Sunrise crew, I'm wishing